Hello, everyone. My name is Sam at Sam6299. Little different what I'm doing here, but I got uh, pretty much doing a movie discussion on Lord of the Rings: The War of Rohirrim, and I got some people with me today. So first up, I got a good buddy of mine. His name is Sai. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Um, yeah, I'm Sai, good buddy of Sam, as you know. I like Lord of the Rings. That's kind of why I got brought into this. But I do make stuff on YouTube. Well, I quote unquote make stuff on YouTube. I haven't uploaded things in a while, but it's Tsuchinoko Familiar if you're interested. But I last thing I made was some D&D based content on there, but it's been a while. So, but I plan to make something eventually. But
All right. And then I got Sam SC Universe the Toonami Squad.
Hi there.
All right. And I got Happy Kuro Kitty of Toonami Faithful. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me. I co-host the Toonami Faithful podcast along with Sketch, and I'm just happy to be here. I love all things Tolkien. I love all things Lord of the Rings, and I love anime, so it's a nice overlap for me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And lastly, I got Sketch of Toonami Faithful. Hello.
Yes, you got a full Toonami Faithful collab going on here because it's not just me this time, baby. It's not just me. Because of course, when you told me you wanted somebody to talk about this movie, I was like, "Whoa, I should see if Kuro wants to do this because she's definitely got stuff to talk about."
Yeah. And yeah, so initially the plan was that because this is going to be an upload on the main on my own channel, because initially this was going to be a part of our latest Toonami Squad podcast, but then the issue that I ran in there was only one other member, Sam, saw the movie, and not only that, so in a group of 6 people with only 2 people seeing the movie, I was like, nah, let's save it. And also, I mean, that podcast episode was long, and that would have just ballooned it even longer. And I was like, I'm gonna split it up. And I decided to upload it to my channel mainly because this isn't exactly Toonami related. The only correlation is the producer, one of the producers of the movie. So yeah, but I wanted to talk about the movie. I know Sam wanted to talk about it, and I just also wanted to see if anyone else wanted to talk about it. So that's why I started this. So yeah, so once again, thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Now I also just want to give full disclosure. I I have not seen much Lord of the Rings. I haven't seen the trilogy, nor have I seen the Hobbit movies. If I'm being honest, the only reason I went to see this movie was purely because the producer, good old Jason DeMarco, who's co-creator of Toonami and has recently given us some quality original anime on the block.
But before that, he had quite the history of touching all of our childhoods.
Yes. Yeah.
And before we go any further, I just want to give a round of applause to Jason DeMarco because he got his name up on the big screen for a Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah.
And
That's a
nobody
cool.
can ever take that away from him. So,
I
That was
saw
so
that.
cool.
Yeah.
round
You
of
had a
applause.
moment.
You did it, Jason.
Yeah,
did it.
we had a moment. I was sitting in the theaters. I was like, I know that guy.
Yeah.
I talked to that guy. I've been in the same room as that guy.
I took some pictures with him a few years back. But yeah, so like, yeah.
Also
So
been in
like,
the same room with Kenji Kamiyama, for the matter.
oh wow,
Yeah,
didn't know
'cause
that.
He was at Anime Expo, and
awesome. Well, actually, a few months back, I went to Otakon in Washington D.C. and they had a booth for War of the Rohirrim. And they had like a couple of pins and I think some ads for the movie. And I think I have a few of those pins on me. I gotta look. But I remember stopping by there. And one thing I didn't know this until Logan told me, our other squad member, because we were seeing each other over there. It was that the director for Uzumaki was there too. I had no idea he was there, and if I did, I probably would have snapped a photo with him.
the director of Uzumaki.
Yeah. of episode 1 of Uzumaki.
Yeah. Who storyboarded the entire thing.
So I like to go into the topic of Lord of the Rings. So this movie, The War of Rohirrim. So the thing I remember when they announced this, I kind of forgot when. Sam, you were looking that it was like 2021 they announced it?
Yeah, I decided to look it up because I was curious myself. Apparently, this was announced June 10th, 2021. Lord of the Rings anime feature fast-tracked by New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers Animation. And then this is just a whole press article basically stating...
Was Jason credited as early, was he like, did he announce that all the way back in 2021?
You know, Sketch, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't this happen to overlap with a bunch of shifts in movement with the studio merges, and then Jason got promoted into this job where he was going to be overseeing a bunch of original series, and then they announced this was one of the projects that he would be overseeing. So this was
I believe that is the timeline.
This was overlapping with a big career shift for him, and he was moving away from having the direct overseeing of Toonami and being like the vice president over at Adult Swim, where he would have a lot more say in what he could work on. And that was what I seem to remember back when this was announced. And then he said he was going to do this. And Jason's such a big Lord of the Rings fan in general. He loves the big cinematography. So like he was so over the moon about it even back then. He was talking about it, and it got me really hyped for it too, I remember specifically. But of course, we didn't have a lot of news for a long time, which is typical.
Yeah. So the thing was that I think I remember when that was announced and Jason announced it, and I remember myself and a few others, we were like all excited, like, oh wow, like an anime movie like in Lord of the Rings. And not only that, but it's like going to be a theatrical release by Warner Brothers, which is few and far between to see like something of this scale get like a theatrical release, especially like an anime film, especially.
Oh yeah, no.
It's been a long time since we actually had an animated Lord of the Rings movie. Like, what was it, like
1978?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Something close.
I believe so.
I'll look it up.
But that's not the Bakshi one. I think the Bakshi one was the Hobbit. So
it was 1978. It looks like, at least.
yeah.
Yeah. So like I remember
was the Hobbit, and Bakshi did Lord of the Rings. Who did Return of the King? Was that also Bakshi? Yeah, I think it was.
I just remember the Hobbit movie, the Goblin Town song. It always gets stuck in my head.
Yeah, so then I remember being excited about it, but then if I'm also going to be honest, I kind of forgot about it, because like I think they just, it was dark for the longest time, like nothing really about it until like earlier this year when news started to pick up. And ironically, when I was at Otakon and they had that booth for the movie, I was like, oh right, that movie, is that this year? And then like I think they had a poster there where it said like 2024, like holiday 2024. It's like, oh, it is this year. The thing was, because then I remember they dropped that trailer. It was, I forgot when they dropped it, but I know it was like, I want to like a few, like in the later half of 2024. And the thing was is that when we got that trailer, we had this was after we had received a few shows, Ninja Kamui and Rick and Morty the anime. So like when I saw that trailer and in the end I see Jason DeMarco, Joseph Cho, Sola Entertainment, my head was like, oh boy. I was like the same team that graced us with those, and I was just like, like I want to see this movie. As like, for one, I'm really interested, just to see how something like this, just like for the sheer fact of it, happening at all. I wanted to go see it. And then on the other hand, I'm okay. So like, I like this is gonna sound kind of like I'm trying to be nice, but at the same time, I was like going to the movie to see, does it hold up to the other shows that we've gotten recently, like, but then and plus I was like really interested yet again, like, sorry, I'm just going all over the place. I don't got like a script on me.
Well, Kenji Kamiyama, one of the reasons that I was interested is because he did Moribito, Guardian the Spirit, and that is, I've talked about it, Sketch probably can attest to this, it is one of my top 10 favorites because it is so beautiful. The story is so beautiful. So I had a good expectations. I felt like he was gonna, whatever he was gonna do, it wasn't gonna be bad. You know, I've liked his stuff in the past, so I was like, well, he can't. I think it'll be fine. I'll enjoy this. And he seemed to be excited for the project. He seemed to like the opportunity of being able to work with some material from Tolkien and make something out of it originally. So that sounded cool to me.
I mean, I will say this too. Like after seeing the movie, I am interested. Like I'll probably one of these days check out the Peter Jackson trilogy and then the Hobbit films. That's one thing I can give the movie is that it has me interested in Lord of the Rings. I can't really say that for another Warner Bros. Anime adaptation, Blade Runner,
which is also a Kenji Kamiyama production. So, and the initial screenshots that we got of this, I want to say it was back in June of 2024. We get the first screenshots of it, and they're 2D, and the sigh of relief from me is like, oh, thank you, thank you. I thought this could be CGI, and I did not want that. Because his recent work, his Blade Runner series, his Ghost in the Shell series, and I believe also like a Ultraman series, I believe. Yeah. Those were all CGI anime. So even though Sola was involved with a lot of those too, and they kind of primarily do CGI stuff. So all those pieces come together and like, what's this gonna look like? And when we see it's in 2D, I'm just like, okay, now I'm hyped. Let's go.
So that explains the back half of Ninja Kamui.
Yes, it does.
But yeah, so like, I was just like, I was curious, like, just to, because like I said, we don't get a movie like this at much, and just like, I also like Jason, like, I wanted to, see this, and I'll just see how, I pretty much like,
you wanted to support Jason in his endeavors because he's put a lot into Toonami and it's given us a lot. I get it. I think I said the same thing when we were recording, that everybody should see it. If you know nothing about Lord of the Rings, it doesn't matter. If you are not an animation fan, well, you obviously weren't listening to the podcast anyway, so it wouldn't matter. But yeah, I think that it had, it was one of those things that the story presented as a standalone story that you could go and see regardless, and that made it appealing.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, like I before I saw the movie, I was asking too, is like, do I need to know anything about Lord of the Rings? And then I hear like it's and then I hear it's like based off 2 sentences in the book, and I'm like, wait, what?
No, 2 pages.
Or 2 pages. Sorry, my bad. 2 pages.
Page per hour. That's for Lord of the Rings, that's not too bad.
yeah. I mean, it's dense content. I mean, I could see how you could do something with it. I was just reading that one chapter. It's in the appendices of The Return of the King, and it's labeled the House of Earl, which is the house from, if you've seen for anyone who's seen the Peter Jackson films, Theoden is from the House of Earl. All the kings of this line both lines come from the House of Earl, etc. So it's just talking about the history of the kings of Rohan and how they were founded and some of the more interesting stories. And if you do see the films, you see the statue of Helm Hammerhand in the middle of the Hornburg, which is called Helm's Deep. So he is the eponymous or the titular character for the name of Helm's Deep, and he's known as Helm Hammerhand. Which, if you see the film, you figure out pretty quickly why he's got the hammer hands.
Literally, probably first 20 minutes, you get to see why.
I love that. I can rewatch that clip like 5 times in a row and still love it.
I thought. Was I the only one that thought One Punch Man?
No, you weren't the only one.
It's like that happened.
Funny how he got mogged so quick.
What'd you say about my daughter? One Punch!
Dog was talking so much trash and then done. Nothing.
Yeah. I know it feels a little anticlimactic, or really it doesn't really build up to anything outside of just being a plot point for Wolf wanting revenge.
I mean, that's what happens. That's how it happens. If that's exactly how it reads. He comes in there and he demands the hand of his daughter, which is rude. I mean, and a lot of the Rohirrim are based off of Old English culture and traditions. That's what Tolkien uses as inspiration. So for someone to come in, this lord who's gotten fat with wealth and greed, and suddenly he's like, your son's gonna marry my daughter, be like, well, first of all, no. Second of all, fuck you. You're being rude. This is my house, and I'm going to show you something. I don't think he intended to kill him. I think he just has it in their hands. And that's how
definitely with his reaction after the fact, it was definitely like a I thought you were stronger than that kind of moment. Like, I thought you were stronger. Yeah. No, he wasn't. And like Wolf getting all pissy. It's like, dog, like you should have seen this coming.
Yeah, don't come into my house talking trash. Just saying.
Yeah. I guess but because I know we already just started talking about the story of the movie, I just want to ask you guys, like, what was your opinions and reactions of the movie before release, like when it was announced and, you know, like going up to release and all that. Sai, did you see anything about the movie before it came out?
For me, I saw trailers and stuff. I feel like you guys had like some more investment in it beforehand. I didn't really know a lot of the background with it. I saw the trailers. Thought they were cool because like I only learned about it when the trailers came out because my girlfriend was like, oh hey Sai, did you know there's a Lord of the Rings animated movie coming out? I was like, huh? And then I learned about it. I'm like, oh, this looks actually pretty sweet. I'll go see this. And I would say I was excited because I'd always been into the Lord of the Rings, and fantasy in general has been probably one of my favorite genres of media. So it was kind of like, you know, it was like, okay, cool, an animated fantasy like Lord of the Rings movie. That sounds like a really cool thing to do. I'm surprised they're doing this. So, and I was like, I would say I was going into it rather excited. I didn't have my hopes too high because I was worried with most recent Lord of the Rings adaptations that have, you know, not really done well at being good. But
he's talking about the Rings of Power. We all know
exactly.
it. We can say it.
We can say it. Yeah, that's kind of like I was like, it looks like it could be good, but I'm worried. But overall, I think like I came into it with a positive outlook, with a bit of tinge of worry. I'd say is probably my outlook going into the movie.
All right, Sam, what was your reaction and just like overall thoughts, like pre-release, like before you saw it?
So pre-release, I was interested in it, but not really because I'm some Lord of the Rings nut. I've only seen the Hobbit films, so I don't really have that extensive background. I've never read the books. I have never seen the Peter Jackson trilogy. So I have no frame of reference for this franchise, and I have no affection for it either. But I wanted to go see this movie to support hand-drawn animated movies in theaters, which is such a rarity these days. So that's why I went to go see it. I went to go see it mostly out of that principle. And, you know, if it was a good movie, hey, I went to go see a good movie. But we'll get more into what I think about it later.
All right. Kuro, how were you feeling when it was announced and then, like, up to the release?
I mean, I was pretty excited. I wasn't initially clear entirely what the story was on, but I have a big hunger for Lord of the Rings content in general. And I feel like animation lends itself to being very flexible to fantasy. And as a big fantasy fan like Sai, a big Lord of the Rings fan, big fantasy fan, I feel like animation is so perfect for that because it's less costly to have all the things you would have in fantasy, you know, it's cheaper. And especially with horses, like training horses to perform stunts and having enough people who are professional enough to ride horses, it's very expensive. And it's better to, you know, animation eliminates all of that hassle. You don't have to feed them. You don't have to train them. You don't have to worry about, you know, getting them used to having armor while you're riding them. So I was like, yeah, this is a great flexible medium. It looks cool. I was excited. I was excited to see that. And I was also excited to support something Jason was doing, that there would be a fun overlap of two things that I enjoy. I think I went into it optimistically, and I don't have strong feelings about Rings of Power. I'm ambivalent about it. I watch it. I enjoy watching it with my family because it's a family activity. But I recognize that it's not accurate, and it's not meant to be accurate because they don't have the rights to be so. So when I was going into War of the Rohirrim, I knew that they had a lot more intention of adhering to some source material. So it's like, okay, that'll be an interesting comparison about how an adaptation works. Not to mention, like, Lord of the Rings in general has a history of being animated. I was a little confused, and this is why I spend way too much time on Reddit. There's some people who are like really negative about it, and I was like, "What are you talking about? This is the first. That was the first format ever came out ever was animated, and it's kind of perfect for it. Like the fact that we had Peter Jackson, who still to this day has the record for Academy Awards, was kind of amazing what he accomplished. But it was an outlier. It was an outlier for fantasy, and it was an outlier for film. So we would expect to see something like this in animation. Yeah.
All right. Sketch, how were you feeling, when it was announced and then leading up to the release?
Well, I was anticipating seeing it in the theaters because, like Sam, my mindset was, this is a 2D animated work. It's being produced by a Western company. Because, anime in U.S. theaters is not that uncommon these days. But this kind of anime is very uncommon. A 2D animated film from Warner Brothers is super uncommon, though interestingly enough, there'll be another one in theaters pretty soon. Definitely go see that Looney Tunes movie the day of the
Yeah.
comes out in February, I think. So that was my mindset going in. And I saw the initial trailer. I was like, oh, look, they're alluding to the Peter Jackson movies. Like, oh, I remember Middle Earth. And it's like, I get why you're doing that, but it's definitely not selling me more on it. And then I see the movie's like, okay. Like, I generally like how this looks. It's aesthetically pleasing, and I enjoy me a fiery redhead, so that's cool. But of course, you couldn't go anywhere on the freaking internet without people being like, oh, it's woke. They invented a character. Oh, it's gonna be terrible. Hollywood needs to learn not to do this. I'm like, slow your roll, people.
People would never say that, by the way, if that was a man. There'd be no comments about that.
No,
I'm putting that out there.
No, not at all. I mean, there might be some
get a
people
fucking grip. People need to get a grip.
There might be some people that would get a little up in arms
Also,
about.
did they forget that there were a lot of strong female characters in the Peter Jackson trilogy?
No, the thing that they're like, oh, well, this takes away from those characters by basically emulating it, and I'm like,
how does that even work?
Like,
Actually, watching the movie, I feel like she was I was worried like she might be a Mary Sue or something, but like in the actual movie, she's not at all. Like she's actually really well written. So I was like,
Yeah.
it's like
Okay. But we'll get more into that.
She's pretty well written, and it was like, oh, it's another girl boss movie because there's so many girl boss movies in this. It's like, no, that's not the vibe I got from any of this.
And even if she was, who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Who cares? Why don't you want a girl boss movie in the Lord of the Rings universe? What's your fragile masculinity?
Less.
Your fragile masculinity, that's the problem. I love people that can kick my ass. As the great Spike Spiegel once said. But yeah,
she stayed single so she could go out and find you, Sketch. You're the real man she was looking for.
I think she's maybe a little young for me, but she'll grow up eventually. But her handmaid, she's a bit old for me, but dang, we'll get into it. She is a badass.
Yeah.
But yeah, going into it, I was a little skeptical that I was gonna like it, but I had high hopes that I'd have a good time and that it would be something neat that could kind of move the medium forward in some way.
Oh,
Yeah.
If only.
Yeah. Only to realize it is really just here to extend the license, and it doesn't matter how well it did.
Yeah, pretty much.
I
And I can't wait to talk about like the marketing for this movie, or
What do you mean marketing? What?
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
what marketing?
yeah,
I still think they actually did a decent job marketing.
I think
did
they did
see
a
a
really
trailer.
bad job marketing this movie, because like you said, like the first trailer that they showed was showing off like clips from the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's like, that's not really a good way to present this movie to an audience. That's a great way to try and sell it, I guess, but it's not a live action movie you're trying to sell here. You're trying to sell an anime movie. So you need to sell this beyond your core audience of Jackson fans. You need to sell that to the casual audience. You're putting this in like theaters nationwide.
I will. I mean, I did see the trailer pop up a few times because I saw a few movies before this. But yeah, like, I mean, what marketing you said? Clearly, you didn't see the music video Toonami aired like that one weekend.
But again, that's still selling
that was
to your core
beautiful.
audience.
What the fuck are you talking about? Music video? What?
That was that music. That song was gorgeous. Oh my god. Beautiful.
Because you don't watch Toonami, but like it was during a Toonami broadcast that they did a music video. I could link that to you.
And then, like, didn't they also show a behind-the-scenes featurette for the movie as well?
A little bit.
Yeah, only on Toonami, and I'm just like, yeah, cool. Toonami, the Toonami audience knows that there's a Lord of the Rings movie, but what about
I'll
everyone
tell you
else?
what, though, you could not get on Twitter with ads on without seeing an ad for it constantly in
On
the weeks
Reddit,
leading up.
on Reddit as well. I had a lot of ads on Reddit to it, and I thought that was just Google knowing me too well and knowing what I like. And I was like, no,
How much
you're
commercials
selling.
did you see on it on like cable networks that aren't owned by Warner Bros. Discovery?
Well,
I mean,
was also
does that
cable in
really
general,
matter?
so.
It would be more valuable for it to be like during Max or like during Hulu ad.
I
break.
mean, it kind of matters if you're trying to sell this to people, because there are still people watching linear television. Maybe not linear scheduled shows, but like sporting events, those still draw in massive eyes.
Oh yeah.
Why didn't you
Way
do
too-
this for like any of
too
those sporting
expensive
events?
to do that.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah, to Sam's point, I get what he's saying. We saw ads because we were already following content creators that were putting out these ads, like following Jason, for example, where he was
Jason.
tweeting at. We followed him. We knew about this stuff. But if I were to not, if I weren't part of the Toonami community, and if I didn't follow him, I think it would be a lot harder for me to have known about it than say if I was. I think that if they had broadened their audience beyond this audience and put it more in places where you wouldn't expect, but people who would watch other New Line Cinema productions, and advertise it on the Sci-Fi Channel, or advertised it on any like you said, any regular cable channel. Like I get what you were saying, Sam, about like how pushing beyond this audience to a wider audience to getting that visibility.
I mean, like, this isn't like a limited release movie. I mean, Warner Brothers basically treated it like that, but this is a nationwide released movie. This was in every movie theater. You could go to multiple screenings and showings. It's not like a Demon Slayer, which, funny enough, that was one of the previews that came up when I was watching the movie.
Same.
But it's not like Demon Slayer or like any of those other
theater experience. I see a decent amount of movies, and I did see the trailer for this like constantly since June.
I only saw it once. I forgot the movie that I was seeing at the time, but I remember seeing it once in the theater.
I may have saw it during Twisters, but that was basically it. But I also don't really go watch that many movies.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But- But I would also kind of make the assumption that that's also describing like everybody, unless you are like a movie guy. Some people just go to the big event movies and then they just don't go to anything else.
That's me.
All right, sorry, you were saying?
I didn't even learn about it from marketing. I only learned about it because my girlfriend, she's a big movie head, so she heard about it down the grapevine and was like, "Oh, Sai, we gotta go see this." And I'm like, "Oh, well, yeah, that seems awesome. Let's go." But like, if not, I think like would have heard about it randomly on Twitter and been like, didn't know this existed. Like, but like otherwise, like I didn't see pretty much any advertising for it on my end.
Size the test audience member then.
Yeah.
Like leave it to Warner Brothers to not market their own movie, but like Sketch said before, like this is not really a movie meant to be like an artistic extension of Lord of the Rings. This was just basically them to renew their rights.
They would have to spend a lot more money to market it more.
But that's fine. It's fine if that's all they wanted to do. That's okay. That's but then
I'm kind of not really into the whole corporation being like Smog and sitting on IP that they own.
I don't actually care as long as what I'm getting is not terrible. Like I want to get something that I can enjoy. Like I'm a consumer. Like I'm gonna consume whoever's putting out good content, and if Sai is a target audience member, he's someone who likes Lord of the Rings, and you're not getting to him, then you're doing something wrong. Like yes, they had a lot of marketing, but they had it in the wrong place. They had it to people who were already going to watch it. They needed to go to people who maybe wanted to watch it and didn't know until later that it was existing. You know? Yeah,
like if you're selling this to the Toonami audience, the Toonami audience were already going to watch it anyway. You're selling it to the same core people that were going to go see it. Like, no, this is not a limited release movie, guys. This is a movie that you are selling to many people as possible. Why don't you push that more?
Yeah, and I was gonna say that's why we know about the movie, because Jason DeMarco for Creative Toonami worked on it, and we immediately picked that up, and we were like, yes, and yeah, and also one other thing is that just like, because I've been seeing this a lot recently, is like I like this, but at the same time it's always a double-edged sword of getting anime adaptations of popular Western IP, because some are really good. Others, like I haven't seen it yet, but I've been hearing nothing but praise about the Terminator anime that came out.
That was okay.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's
on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
So it's like an 8-episode little mini series. It's okay. It's fine. Bro.
Yeah, it's like sometimes we get like these cool projects, like the Terminator thing, Animatrix. There was that Batman anthology.
Oh yeah, the Batman Ninja thing was really cool back in the day.
Yeah, Batman Ninja was pretty cool.
But then on the other hand,
hilarious. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's gonna be another one.
Yeah.
Is there another Batman Ninja?
Yeah, they're doing a sequel.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. But then like you get those good ones, but then for every one of those, then you also get like Rick and Morty the anime. And I was trying to think of another. Oh, and
Tales from Earthsea. That was an adaptation by Studio Ghibli of a Western novel. Ursula K. Le Guin's
That movie
Earthsea.
sucked. Oh.
Really? I liked it. I liked it.
Castle.
It's directed by Goro Miyazaki, and oh god, that guy has only directed one good movie in his lifetime. One good movie. Ugh, the rest of it, whatever. This is not a podcast on Goro Miyazaki.
So yeah, I guess we should actually start getting to the movie proper now. I just want to say, because I know, but I just want to say, because like when I was in the theater and I sat down and like the movie started coming up, like I see the Warner Bros. Like logo and it was in Japanese, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I'm not gonna lie, when I saw this, I was like literally trying to hold it in because I didn't want to, be loud in the theater. But then the first thing I see is a Warner Bros. Entertainment and Sola Entertainment production, and I was just immediately like, hold in, do not.
Like the Punisher.
Like,
no.
I was just
wait for the end credits to see Jason DeMarco's name.
I was just like, okay, like I don't know Sola's track record beyond the Toonami originals that they helped produce, but at the same time, what I have seen of them, yeah, I'm not going to get into that.
Sola work on the Samurai Jack game? I'm gonna say they did.
Did they?
Really?
I don't. Might have worked on like the cutscenes for the game, but
Yeah. So like, but going into the movie, you know, I was like, yeah, this looks so like yet again basic knowledge here because I'm not huge on Lord of the Rings, but like, you know, I like the introduction, like when she's riding on the horse and like they're giving that narration of like, oh, this is her story and all that, but she was not remembered.
Yeah, that was a little on the nose, being like, yes, she did many great things, but you won't hear about them in any of the old tales. Like, okay,
okay.
That's because there's only 2 pages.
Yeah, I have to say, as much as I love Miranda Otto, I think that her introduction wasn't necessary. It didn't actually add anything more to the film. Like, I'm not disrespecting her and what she accomplished, and I understand why they decided to do that. They wanted this layover from the films, but I think it was completely unnecessary. It didn't actually contribute anything significant. I think they could have started out with just the music and then panning out to Idaras and then having Hera ride, and that would have been just fine without any narrative introduction at all.
Yeah. One other thing I gotta say, because I do. Yeah. One thing I gotta say, because I really gotta give credit where credit's due, like the voice acting. Like I like Hammerhand a lot, and I like
I
Hera.
loved his voice actor. His actor's actually really good too.
Brian Cox, yeah.
I watched him in Succession. He was really good.
You won't find answers with them, Wolverine. Sorry, that's what I hear every time I hear.
Oh, you're right. Oh man.
That's all I think about when I hear his voice, and I'm like, but you're a bad guy.
I'm just so grateful that he put on a much better voiceover in this than he did in Blade Runner Black Lotus.
Oh, who was he in Black Lotus?
Completely forgot about that.
He was the old man.
The old man. I'm trying to, because I legit have not seen that.
The bad guy.
Oh wait, Wallace.
Wallace, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wallace Senior.
Yeah. God, yet again, I have not seen that since 2021. So then we get introduced to Freya or Hera. Sorry,
Hera.
I'm thinking. Yeah, Hera. We get introduced to Hera.
Maybe her name.
This is just a free run podcast now. Hello, welcome. We're talking about free.
Maybe her name
Freya.
should have been Freya.
But yeah, so like we get introduced to her, and then you know, and then you clearly see that she's like, I don't want to say she's a rebel, but at the same time she's like one of those, like, oh, like you can't be going out on your own, and like you're riding the horses, you need to be. That's not very ladylike and all that. Like I don't want to say
Brave. She's the girl from Brave.
Yeah.
She is the girl from Brave.
Be in a Lord of the Rings movie, would ya?
She's the girl from Brave, and it's okay. It's totally okay.
It's totally okay.
Been a while since we had a girl from Brave movie. I feel like.
Hey, I love Brave. I will stand.
It was a good movie. I liked it.
It was a good movie.
Yeah. So then, and then we immediately like get put into the first big scene where like they're having that what was it? Was it like a meeting or like a banquet or something, or they were having that party?
It was like
a council.
I think so. It might have been a mix of both, really.
Yeah. So the lords come for council because the way it worked was Helm sits over a sort of similar to feudal situation where you have lords over a set of their own lands. That's the way Rohan was set up, and he was what would be considered the High King. So they come for counsel the way they would in any political situation. And Freka, who's the Dunlending Lord, and this is just the lore. They do a nice job of laying it out, but for anyone who's interested, there's a long history of strife between the Dunlendings and the people who settled in the lands of Rohan, because there was roar and there was, battles over who owned what land, et cetera, et cetera. So Freka has some history of that. He comes in, he's got a big chip on his shoulder when he comes in. Yeah.
So I I just want to say, because like this is all I could think about when I was watching it, and I brought this up to in our squad Discord, and they were like, I can't unsee it now, but like when Freka shows up and he's talking to the crowd, and like they have this camera shot of him in the center
man.
as he's moving left to right, and I'm not joking to you, when I saw that, my immediate mind was Morshu from Zelda CDI.
Oh,
Yeah.
you
Bombs,
are not
bombs.
wrong.
Yeah.
Well,
I-
they're yours, my
My
friend.
lord.
So that's the king.
Well,
It's like,
yes,
as
I know.
long-
I also could have imagined him be like, just suddenly bust out, if I were rubbish.
Yeah, I could do that too. Fiddler on the roof.
And you know, when the first time I saw the movie, I was like, oh, what is going on here? I don't like this. But then the second time I saw the movie, I was like, hey, wait a minute. Helm actually kind of moves that way in that scene, too.
yeah, I
I'd
was just
say
like,
that- No, sorry, you go, Sam.
oh no, yeah, I was just saying, like, yeah, this is when I kind of started, I guess, like seeing some inconsistencies, because like he's standing there and he's like, the way he was just moving just felt off, and that's what made me think of the CDI. And I was, yeah,
You nailed it. I didn't make that connection, but you nailed it. That is.
I was literally like, he was standing there, and in my head I'm like, lamp oil, rope bombs, you want it, it's yours, my friend.
Make the edit, somebody. Make the edit.
Yeah, no, there was definitely some points when I was watching the movie where it was just the animation like was either really good, or there was those parts where I'm like, those men don't have faces. They don't even have lines. They have no faces. What happened?
What's going on with these wide shots?
It's like, because there's some really well made scenes and fights and everything, and then sometimes I'm just like, that's not even a person. Come on, don't lie to me here.
I feel like I get what you're saying, but I went and saw it the second time. There's so many beautifully rendered scenes and so much detail. There are certain things, like if you notice, so the scene where Freyloff is at Dunharrow, they animated it to look, they drew it to look exactly the way it does from the Peter Jackson film. And then there's also lots of little details, like certain bits of jewelry, the way the flags were embroidered, or the way the in the fireplace, the metal bit that's holding the wood in is exactly carved out to be Horus's cross. Like there's a lot of gorgeous detail, but I feel like if I'm looking for it, and I only saw this because I was looking for it, though, to be honest, because I that's just not the way I watch movies. I did see things just like you were saying, S.A.R.A. I'm like, wait a minute. They could have cleaned this up a little bit. You did all this detail, and this is so beautiful. Fix
Exactly.
the rest of this. Come back here and just fix that up a little bit.
Like,
But
usually
I-
I'm not.
Go on.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought.
No. Go on.
I usually I'm not very nitpicky about animation. Like I'm like earlier I remember we were talking about CGI stuff, and usually sometimes I'll watch it and not really care that much, or I won't even notice it. It might have just because I was in a theater on the big screen, and I'm just like you can see so much more there, because I'm usually not nitpicky, but I was just like, it was like that where I'm like, I see these gorgeous scenes, and then it's like just random moments where it's like there's something way too close to the screen for it to be not as detailed as it is when just the scene before it's like this immaculate fight scene that's like so amazingly drawn. I'm like, wow, this is amazing, and then then they bring in the cardboard cutouts, and I'm like, oh, hello.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. But I'm not very persnickety about stuff like that. I feel like when I see animation, I only notice it really if it's truly really, really excellent or really shitty. Anything in between, I'm not really going to pay attention to or care. So I think I only noticed it because I was looking for it, to be honest. And that's just me.
Might,
But anime fans are a little persnickety, I gotta say.
Oh, they are. They very much are.
Yeah, no, I definitely have seen that.
Yeah.
There's one sequence. Sam definitely knows what I'm talking about. in the fight later on, and there is some wood that explodes, and wow. I mean, it gets the job done, I guess.
I didn't see it explode, so
Yeah.
I'm not as receptive as I thought it was.
Yeah, that was some CGI wood flying at you. Not the best particle effects.
Yeah, so to continue on, so yeah, then he comes in and he wants to essentially take the throne, and he's wanting Wolf which we get introduced to Wolf, wants to marry Hera, and immediately like Hammerhand, is like, okay, that's enough. And I forgot what the exact line exchange was because yet again I haven't seen this since it came out. But I just remember like he said something to piss off Hammerhand, and he's like, "You want to take this outside?" And
you've grown big since you were last year, but is mostly fat, I guess.
Oh yeah,
I fucking loved that line. That was great.
Straight out of the
You've
book.
missed many council meetings, but few meals, it would seem.
Few dinner.
yeah.
And that,
So
that good for nothing guy is like, please, Lord Freka, he jests, the king jests. It's like, oh, I'm watching you, buddy. And
No,
I'm
yeah.
right.
No, yeah. And
Yeah.
so then they take it outside, and then he's like, okay. So it's like, I remember he said an insult to him, which then
Okay,
prompted
so
the king to punch
the
him.
crux of it is, he's like, well, your daughter, you can dress her up however you like, but everybody knows she's a wild girl. She's untamed,
Oh, yeah.
but yet
Yeah.
she's still not good enough for my son. And then he really starts railing on her, and at that point, Helm's just
Yeah,
like,
that's when-
okay, bam.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw him punch him, I literally thought, I was like, ooh, because like, yeah, he was
You can
saying
hear the
that
crack.
stuff.
Yeah, no.
You
Laid his
He
ass
was-
out.
Yeah,
and then
Man,
when
you
he
just got
was-
knocked the fuck out.
it was deserved. You do not disrespect a man's daughter in his own house.
Mhm.
yeah,
Don't
So-
do that.
and then he's dead, and I'm literally, when that happened, I just thought One Punch Man. I'm like, this dude literally just pulled the Saitama. He's like, took him
He's
out with
Helm
one punch.
Hammerhand.
Yeah, well, if you didn't read it, you didn't expect it. Like, you were like, oh, that happened. Oh, they're not pulling punches.
Whoa.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
When I had never read the
Almost
book,
a
so like when he just killed him so fast, I was like, oh, that's it. I like, cause like, it's like you see the trailer, so I'm assuming this guy's the reason, like he starts the war himself and everything. No, it's his death is the catalyst, not him
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
And they show in the trailer that happens, and I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have put that in the trailer.
I might have missed it. I'm bad at watching,
I-
paying attention.
I
To
think
I
it.
actually kind of figured that maybe in like a twist way he would actually be like pulling the strings behind his hand, but no, he's just dead. He's
No,
fucking
he's
dead.
no.
He dead.
Yep. That's how it goes
No,
down, just like that.
He's dead, and suddenly these old childhood friends are mortal enemies.
I really
I-
wish they would have done more with that. Like,
We don't
Yeah.
even know like what kind of
Yeah.
relationship Wolf had with his dad. You'd have to figure it wasn't a very loving one.
yeah, no, like
No.
they don't show anything about Wolf's location or where he's from. At least I don't remember if that was in the
No,
movie.
they didn't
They-
really.
They don't give
some lip
Wolf
service.
backstory.
No, they give
No,
some-
they give him some backstory. They
Well,
they
only with
show
like
you how
Hera,
he got
but
they show you how he get his scar on his eye, so you have
Yeah,
to know.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Now I know he has a scar on his eye.
You wanna?
It's
you
really
wanna
in
know
depth.
How I got my scar.
You want to know
Well-
my scar? I got beaten
So
in a
these are the things
duel
you
as a
can glean
child.
about Wolf. There's in that scene, like she strikes him and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Wolf." Like they're very competitive, and they're very good friends. But obviously, there's some strife with their families. So he's like, "You need to get out of here before my father gets here." It's like, okay, cool. Well, I wonder how that conversation went. But later on, he's talking about how all of his life people have looked down on him because of his lineage.
Yes.
But who are the people that come to support him? And like that's basically all you get about the guy.
yeah.
It's very
Which makes him
paper
feel
thin.
very underdeveloped as a villain, or even as just a antagonist.
And,
for
Yeah.
this movie.
and near the end, it definitely just makes it more feel like he's just mad he got kind of rejected.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
There's like a
it's
certain
like,
point
dude,
where it
if
just
she's
kind of
not
delves into
interested,
that.
she's just not interested.
Yeah, at
Yeah,
first
it's-
it's like, I will avenge my father, and then it kind of delves as he like loses his psyche, and he's like, I'm really mad I didn't get any pussy.
It's really interesting. It's really interesting hearing you guys say this because I have a completely different perspective.
Really?
The cultural, the what's written in the story and around like Rohan culture and Deadlanding culture really like builds in. So understanding how insults to someone's honor is so critical to how a man responds in these situations. Not only was his father killed after being insulted, but then he was banished. So he loses his position as a lord. He has no nobility standing at all now to make any claim in these lands. And he's disrespected. He was laughed at. And all of these things combined give him like, it's not even about being rejected by this woman. It's being rejected by these people and disrespected. That's why he's pissed. And everything he does, the way I saw it, it made complete sense to me. His single-mindedness, it does obviously drive him to have his own men turn against him ultimately, but in the moment, he's trying to regain his honor. He's trying to become the king because he's like, oh, you want to fuck with me? Well, I'll show you. I will come back and show you. So his vengeance is, in a way, it makes sense not only because he comes from a background of people that they were driven out by the horse lords, so they lost their land and had to earn it back, but then on top of that, they lose everything. And I'm not saying this because I have sympathy for him. He behaves abominably, and he's a warmonger. He's a warmonger, and he ends up killing people as a result. You know, he's a typical man in this situation. But where he's coming from makes sense. It makes sense. And from my perspective, everything he did makes sense. And he had the right motivation to fuel his anger in the course of the film.
Wasn't there like a moment towards like the end of the movie where the king was just like, I surrender, you win, and Wolf is still like, nah, I'm just gonna fucking end you.
Well, that is because his like lust for honor, because he's been disrespected, so he's so deep at this point. He's like, fuck it, you know.
He's gonna pay him back tenfold.
Yeah, I was literally like near the end, like not to jump ahead because I know we got more to talk about, but near the end, I was even like, bro, like you've already done enough. It's like you took the throne. It's like you got them cornered. It was like, what more do you want? He's literally just still going ballistic. Yeah, and then
well, in all fairness, he's probably he thinks that Hera is as much of an obstacle that if he doesn't snuff her out, that she'll end him.
Well, she is. She has a legitimate line. She's a legitimate line as an heir to the throne, which she rejects, as we see. And Helm still can call to arms his men at arms. So for him, even if he surrendered, these people needed to completely 100% accept him, and he was never going to get that acceptance unless he completely got rid of the old guard. So what everything he does within his realm, within the course of this film and the motivation specifically makes sense. I hearing you guys say that was really interesting because I was like, oh, I got a completely different impression from this.
Honestly, after you said that, I kind of like forgot because it's been, I like Sam over here. I hadn't watched the movie since it came out, so I was kind of like, oh yeah, shit, that's right. I'm completely forgetting about like the whole feudal situation and honor and everything, which is like, yeah, that's right. That makes perfect sense. And also, I remember I do remember a line in the movie where he goes like, you know, it's like, I don't want him dead till he loses everything that matters to him, like he did to me, because like he killed his dad in front of him, and even if it was deserved because his dad was kind of a dickhead in his eyes, he just watched his dad get murdered by the king and then got banished. You know, it's like he just got the ultimate fucking over of his lifetime in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and also he made an oath, and I don't know anyone who likes to read Old English stuff, but like the nature of oaths, they hold a lot of value. An oath had meaning, it had weight, and he made an oath for his vengeance, and for him to go back on that, he didn't just do that there in the halls publicly, but he's done that back to his men. He brought them all the way to fucking Isengard. He promised them riches. He made all these promises, so he has to stand up for his oath in front of his men too, for his future honor. There's a whole, I think there's
even
a good
when he's
pathos
lying
behind.
to them.
Well, there's pathos. There's pathos behind there. I didn't understand him kidnapping the girl, but I'll let you get to that part before, and we'll talk about that. I didn't get that.
To continue the story, so he gets banished, and then he vows his revenge. And then I just remember I forgot how much time passed, but like they're in the
4
field,
years.
and then 4 years. Jesus.
4 years?
Yes.
Really?
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess the jump cuts.
Well, never mind. Hera's old enough.
jump cuts to when he's ready to fight and everything, I suppose. So,
Sketch
yeah.
is like, I'll take her
Takes
as a
some time to
bride.
build that shit up.
I'm ready.
But she will,
have further
she will
statement
not
if she's
have me,
legal,
for
it's
her
cool.
only pledges to death.
I love that line.
So yeah, and then like they're out in the field, and then what was it like they encountered a corpse, and then not long after, okay, yet again, so I don't know Lord of the Rings, but I just saw a big elephant.
Yes.
That's
It's called
uh,
Mumakil, but that's fine. Yeah, it's a Mumakil, but that's, you could say elephant. It's fine.
It was all diseased looking like that one episode
Yeah.
of Primal.
It did look like that episode of Primal. Ooh, nice. I like that.
But also, really kind of, to me, I wonder if it was supposed to be sort of an homage to Princess Mononoke.
Ooh, you know,
Maybe.
How deteriorated gigantic beasts looked in that. Just a thought I had.
No, that's not a bad idea.
So yeah, and then then they have I guess somewhat of a fight scene with it, only to realize they can't take it out. So then she gets the idea to take it to the lake, and the Watcher in the water. I'm looking at the wiki. Who disposes of it. Although I do gotta say though, because this was when I started yet again looking at more inconsistencies, because they're trying to fight this elephant, Mumaki is what it's called.
Mumakil.
Mumakil. So yeah, they're trying to fight it, and then yet again, this is me noticing more inconsistencies, because that one shot it'll look humongous and towering over her. And then the next shot, she's underneath it, and this thing it's like she's crawled underneath a table or something. That's what I thought of for some reason. And yeah, so
what else is inconsistent? Her power level.
Yeah. Because some parts of the movie she's incompetent, and then at the end of the movie she's really good, but then it jumps because sometimes it's one scene she's I don't know how to do this shit, and then the next scene's oh yeah, I'm really fucking good at horse riding actually, and look at me protect the town.
Very good at horse riding.
Yeah, no, it's definitely weird to see her gaps in competence at times, but then sometimes she's
in this particular scene she uses her brain more than anything else.
Yeah.
Which, if they had stayed fairly consistent with that, I'd totally be okay, yeah, this is how she fights.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of inconsistent throughout.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so then she lures it, and it gets eaten up. Sorry, Sam, you were saying?
No, go ahead. It's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, the thing gets eaten by the Watcher in the water, and then one of Wolf's men, I forgot his name, shows up, and she's like, "What? Tar? Oh yeah, I see it. Tar.
Every time I saw that guy, I was like, "Is this guy is falling?"
Yeah. So then yeah.
Shout out to this guy who always tried to give Wolf the best advice, and Wolf was always like, "Nah."
Dude, he tried so hard. He's
honestly,
Wolf, I'm on my knees right now, Wolf. Please don't execute this group of children. Please. He's like, I think I'm gonna execute this group of children. God damn it, man! Come on.
Dang, man, that's crazy. Anyway.
We all need a target in our life, somebody who's that loyal.
Yeah, he was
He's a real
very
one.
loyal.
he was very loyal, and
He
even
was
Very
really
loyal
loyal
to a fault.
until 5 seconds to his death.
yeah. Yeah. So then they kidnap Hera, and then now we have somewhat of, I guess, a break. Well, I don't want to say a breakout sequence. Well, yeah, breakout sequence,
Yeah,
but not before.
a rescue.
Yeah, rescue, and then Wolf shows up, and he's once again, and now trying to threaten her. I think it was marry me or something, or
No, he was trying to. He wanted her to see him crush her family, is my best guess. But that's the most incel motivation fucking ever. He didn't care at that point unless he was of the mind you'd have to beg. She would have to beg him. But he wanted to crush her spirit, I guess. But I felt really, did we even need to do this? We didn't need to do this.
This is the most unnecessary scene in the whole movie.
No,
Mhm.
Okay.
it would have made more sense in my
Except
dream.
there is one thing in there that is important to the rest.
Oh, Owen was a fucking badass.
Oh yeah,
She came
yeah.
through
Oh, yeah, the
that
shield
door.
maiden.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
I-
came through that door
Hell
like a badass.
yes.
Yeah.
She busted in there, and I was like, damn, she's got hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
It's like,
had a
oh,
shield.
you think you're still a shield maiden, old woman? And it's like,
Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
well, yeah,
in
and
fact,
she
yeah.
got away from 3 armed men. So
Yeah.
She's
also,
like a football player in there. She was like taking the ball on. I was so impressed. I loved it.
yeah. Also, I got something wrong. No, it wasn't him trying to threaten her to marry. It was her saying, "Look, I'll marry you. Just stop this." But he was like, "Nah, I'm invading everything." And then that's when Olin showed up and started wrecking house.
He did offer her. It's like there's only one way that this ends differently, and she's like, okay, if I agree to this, can we avoid the bloodshed? And he's like, wait, even after all this, you can't even stomach the idea. So you
Yeah.
know what?
Oh
No.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
he's
it
like
was.
he's petty about it. Where he's like,
It's like
oh,
now
you don't
have
like
to
me because
come to beg.
you're only wanting to marry me because I'm going to murder a bunch of people, not because you
Yeah.
like love me. Ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was insulted because he was already coming from a place of being defensive. So anything would have insulted him at
He
this
was
point.
very
Yeah.
on edge.
like,
That was
It's interesting that he doesn't even see her perspective. Like she's just trying to save her family, like any woman would in that
Yeah.
situation.
and and then like, dude, you lost your dad. Wouldn't you want to save your dad?
yeah.
Like, she just wants to save her dad and brothers.
No, he's beyond empathy at that point. But there's a cool little detail here that I like to point out, and that is that their stronghold is at Isengard. And
Yeah.
Isengard becomes later on Saruman's stronghold, which you get to
That's
see a
right,
very
yeah.
beautifully epic scene of Ents attacking, etc. But he's not there yet. He doesn't come there until after all these events take place. So at this point, it's a sort of
nice real estate.
outpost. Yeah, it was an outpost of former kingdoms of Gondor that was abandoned, and Wolf comes in and he's using it, and like it's really cool to see. It was really cool the detail of them having their outpost built around this empty Isengard. I loved that detail. I think that's how it was written. That's where he does in the 2 pages of the story is taken from the source material is at Isengard. So it's a cool little detail to pick up on. And then of course Frail off in that bow and arrow. I'm like, yeah, baby. You can come
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah, I did appreciate that, like, whenever they referenced something, it wasn't super ham-fisted. They weren't, like, doing, like, what modern Star Wars does, where it's like, look, remember Star Wars? You know, they don't go, look, remember Lord of the Rings? It's just, the Lord of the Rings thing is there, but they only bring minor attention to it, and they don't do
Yeah.
it for, like, reaction purposes, where it's like,
There was
guys,
like
look!
one, like minor
Like, all right,
scene
now
where
hold for clap.
one of the orcs were like holding the ring. So-
Yeah, I have a big issue. That was my only complaint.
That was a little
Yeah.
bit ham-fisted, I feel like, yeah.
But everything else was nice and smooth and really well like seamlessly put into
Yeah.
it.
And I'm
Except for
glad,
that.
like, yeah, the end credit scene wasn't that bad. I was like, okay, yeah, it's cool to show Gandalf in the end credits. I don't really give a shit, you know. It's like, if Gandalf just showed up like 30 minutes in, and was like, hey guys, let me solve all of our problems. It's me, Gandalf. Remember me? I probably would have been like pissed, but he just showed up at the end, and was like, yeah, I'm here for like lore or whatever. It's like, oh, okay, cool, hey Gandalf.
I was gonna say, wasn't it Saruman?
Saruman.
Saruman
Yeah.
shows up.
Oh yeah,
And
that's right.
Gandalf
You know,
is
I remember it was Saruman because I was weird because I was like, oh wait, that's just actually him. That's
Yeah.
fuck, what's
Christopher Lee.
Saruman?
Christopher
Lee.
Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
it-
went
it
through
was
the,
talking right now. He's
they
dead.
went-
What's going on,
It
dude?
looked-
Some mark
it
on
So
it.
looked-
basically,
looks just
what
like
happened
him.
is that with the Warner Brothers went to the Lee estate, and they asked them if they could use archival footage and just recreate a scene with his voice, and they gave approval for that, which is pretty cool. They
Okay,
didn't
at
use
least they're
AI or
respectful
anything.
of it.
It's just
That's good.
basically using just old clips from outtakes and scenes from.
And that's
Lord
the
of Rings
only
movies.
way that is acceptable in my very,
yeah.
very
Yeah.
strong opinion. I think what Star Wars did is disgusting. I think
Oh, yeah.
What
trying
did
to
Star Wars
recreate a dead person, I think recreating a dead person with over the top, like made up AI, I think that is like creepy. It creeps me
Yeah,
the
that's
fuck
kinda
out.
scummy.
And
That's what I was
will
worried they
die
did
on that
with
hill.
that.
I will die on that hill.
But you
That's
know
what
what?
I was worried they did when I saw that scene, but I was like, oh, it's actually they did the right thing. That's good.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
And I think
I
it's
totally
good
agree. Like that
that
is
they
just
did
a
the right
very-
thing, but at the same time, Corey Burton's right over there, man. He could use a paycheck. He does it perfect.
Fair
I
enough.
kind of see
I don't know
why,
I thought of
because
Gandalf, I
if
forgot.
well, I know this probably has something to do that will tie in more with like the next Peter Jackson trilogy of some sort. Even though, yes, that character was probably not going to be in this one, but.
But yeah,
I agree with Sketch. I'm a big fan of bringing in other people, like Mako's voice replacement did a great job in both Avatar and in Samurai Jack. Like, so I'm a fan of that kind of thing. I think that's good. Sorry.
If the guy sounds good enough,
Yes.
then why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Corey Burton does it spot on. Like you wouldn't even think that it's not him.
You're gonna have to drop a clip in the comments now. I'm gonna need to hear this.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we move on, and then they regroup back at the castle, and freaking Hammerhand is just like pissed off at Freylof for taking his eyes off Hera and her getting captured, and like I'm like feeling very bad for Freylof. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like
Dog didn't deserve this.
He did not deserve this, and he's like getting chewed out.
He was doing his best.
Yeah, so then calls him a coward, and then he pretty much kicks him out, and just goes
because
away.
he was suggesting that they should fall back on their strongholds.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "Excuse me?
I
I'm not
didn't realize
taking advice
Rohan
from
was
you."
bitch made. I didn't realize the soldiers of Rohan were bitch made. We're not retreating from shit.
Yeah.
But although one of the I forgot his name, but the one servant who was Thorn, who was like telling Hammerhead, no, we got the power, they got nothing. We could take them and all that. And,
who else got like traitor vibes from him even before we saw?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yep.
It was around that point.
The first scene he was in.
Yep.
It was around that point where I'm like, I don't know, dude. That's kind of sus. He's
like. I didn't think much of him in the beginning, but then when he was doing that, I was like, is like traitor?
Yeah.
But
and
so
Wolf is totally counting on this because he fully understands that Helm is too prideful to ask for assistance from Gondor.
Promises to raise men. So then they go off to that battle, and I was already, because they're going off to the battle, and her two brothers, I forgot their name, were like
Hama and Haleth.
Hama and Haleth. And who was the one with the instrument with the I forgot what you call it.
Hama is the one with the instrument, and Haleth is the badass warrior. Man, I could have watched him all day.
Oh, he was awesome.
He was, but like they were going off and they were saying goodbye to Hera, and Hama is giving her the I forgot what you call it, but like hold on to this from
The
me.
loot.
A liar or a loot.
Oh, it was a liar.
Yeah.
That's right, the liar. No, it was a liar. You're right. It was a liar. I'm mixing up my old instruments.
So yeah, and then like he's like, hold on to this for me. He's like, I'll be back. Like, I'm not giving it. I'm just letting you borrow it, and I'll take it back. And I remember that's what he said. And then when he did, when he said that, I was like, okay, death flags. I was like, death flags.
I was like, they wrote those brothers to die. They didn't write
Yes.
Yes,
you know, it's crazy because I knew in theory they were going to, but when I was watching it, I had put that aside and I was like, well, they can't kill them. Like it's weird how I got so caught up in it and I cared about them and I was really upset when they died. Like, this wasn't a surprise, Kuro. You knew this was coming. Why are you upset?
The thing for me is I only thought Hama was gonna die because they did the whole thing with the liar and everything. So I was like, okay, he's handing this off. Haleth didn't do anything like that. So I was like, oh, Haleth will survive. But then he had that cool moment and got shot. And I'm like, fuck! Why did I trick myself?
When he stood up like that, and he's like, yeah, they can't beat us. And when he was doing that, I was already like, okay.
It was a
John.
I was like,
so mad.
He was pretty cool. He was pretty cool riding through Edoras and like taking on all those soldiers.
Yeah.
He was like, they only got him because they got a cheap shot at him. Like it wasn't
Exactly.
real. It wasn't a true move of a warrior. And I was like, so I feel like nobody could be proud of that. You know, he was out there fighting hand to hand with his like fucking axe and getting it on, and then they got him
wasn't
with an
wrecking
arrow to the
house.
throat.
Wasn't
Yeah, he
it
was.
so polite that they were only fighting him one at a time?
Okay, and you guys just reminded me. Now this is
Very
another. So you guys actually just reminded me, because this is actually another criticism I have with the movie. This is a movie set in a war. There's war. There's a lot of death happening and a lot of weapons. Why do I not see any bloodshed at all? And when there's blood, yeah, like I was looking.
A bit.
There was a bit, but like we're talking about a war where like people are dying on the. It was PG-13, but I'm not joking with you, because I remember this clearly. They were so very scarce with the blood and all that, and when people were getting hit with axes or getting, you know, like stuff like that, like chopped, it was done so weirdly out of frame, and also there was like, you would see a splatter, but they wouldn't show blood. It was more like kind of like like darkish, like blackish, and it went away in like 2 seconds. I
didn't actually mind the off-screen deaths myself. I was okay with that, because it can be really hard. Like when they did the cavalry charge and the horses were falling, that was so upsetting to watch. I was like, I was like, I had my fingers in front of my face with like them spread apart, and I was like, no, we don't have to show this. So I didn't personally mind, but I think that's more of a personal taste thing. Like everybody may have different expectations.
My thing on violence and that, if you're showing a movie about war, there has to be some sort of carnage with it. And I'm not saying there has to be decapitations or guts spilling everywhere. It just needs to be a little bit graphic to get the point across. When you just see bodies laying on the ground with no like.
That's how they did it. Peter Jackson, though, they did it almost the same way.
Yeah.
They had the hardest stuff off screen, and then you just see dead bodies with some blood, and it gives it gives the effect. I mean, Sai, didn't you? Am I wrong? Like, isn't that exactly how?
No, I would say like they didn't really show a lot of the gore up front in like the Peter Jackson films. Yeah, I would say in general, I didn't really.
I'm really asking for anyway. I'm not saying they need to show gore. They need to show a little bit more to actually get the point across that this is a big war happening.
Yeah, my thing was that it just looked too clean for a war, and then yet again, I'm not saying like, oh, I need guts spilling out or, you know, decapitations, but it just seemed so like.
Well, people
I don't know
weren't
the right
getting
term,
dirty enough.
sanitized.
I'll give you that much. Like there's definitely at least mud getting kicked up. So why are they not like covered in blood?
Oh yeah, I would say I will agree there. Like I feel like a lot of people's faces look very clean. Like, you know, there weren't a lot of scuff marks or like dirt or nothing. It was just like, look at my pristine face. Like y'all aren't
Bro
elves.
dies and he's like pristine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's like such
all,
a big problem with the movie too, is that the side characters in this movie are so underdeveloped. Oh.
Yeah. Or they die before they can be developed.
Yeah, like the brothers, like that could have been a very great core emotional moment for for the female heroine. But it just feels like, oh, they're just fodder. They're just fodder for the story, and
it's
that's
like
it.
they write them like they're fodder too, which sucks. And it's like, you know,
I mean,
because it's like
were.
they had. Well, I mean,
Yes,
I know,
do a
but
lot
it's like
more to flesh out these characters because they're family to Hera, so their deaths should mean something for the audience. And I personally didn't really feel anything for them because the movie itself doesn't really set themselves up that well.
I will say I did feel something for Haleth's death because I got caught me off guard. But with Hama, like when he died, I was like, well, there it is finally, because it was like the loot scene for me was just like, oh, so you're dead. Okay, got it. Thanks for letting us know ahead of time.
So the thing for me was that I was expecting Hama because of that scene, but not Haleth. But then when Haleth dies, I'm like, oh wow, they pulled a bait and switch. So I guess the other guy's gonna live. And then, no, never mind.
Well,
so
no,
like,
you had to know that both of them were going to die because this lineage ends.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I didn't even. Yet again, I forgot the narration of the opening of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah. So like,
I like to gaslight myself.
We didn't get nearly enough with the brothers, but I did really enjoy the song that he was singing while Hera was riding up to the town.
Yeah.
I was like,
I did too.
nice. I like this.
He had
And
a
also
nice
his whole thing was like, stories and songs. Like maybe someday someone will sing of my exploits. Like, death flag, death flag.
Man, what was he
I forgot
thinking
about
picking
that.
the old horse? Like, I just wanted to shake him.
Yeah,
like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know better.
Yeah, the whole horse.
You know
Yeah.
better.
Old
Dude, like
girl.
I knew that old horse was gonna bite him in the ass. I'm like, dude, they only said that just so we could have context for when he gets fucked over later.
Oh, that made me so sad.
I forgot.
That
I
scene-
forgot about that.
That scene
Oh.
where he stands alone to give them time and he pulls his bow and arrow. Like, I actually did feel some emotion about
I
brothers.
did.
I felt like they didn't spend time with them, but when they died, like I did have a hard time with them. Like I said, like even though I knew it was happening, it caught me off guard because it was just so sudden. And Hama standing up and trying to give them more time, I was like, oh no.
Fuck
Maybe
that.
I was like, maybe he'll be okay. Even though I knew in the back of my mind he wasn't okay. I was like, maybe he'll be okay. It reminded me of that scene from Mulan, where, except it was on the other side, where it's like, how many messengers do you need to give a message? One, and the guy has the arrows. Like, is he gonna pull one of those? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like the brothers, like while not insanely fleshed out, their deaths I feel like still had some weight to it. At
Yeah.
least on my end.
They
I
did
agree.
it. Yeah.
And then also, it is a movie, so we only have so much time to flesh everything out.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So then, they go.
It's
off to
already a
war.
long movie.
yeah.
Yeah, for a 2-hour movie, I feel like it could have been a little bit shorter.
So yeah, they go off to war, and then like Freya looks
Hera.
or Hera. I keep
This is
missing
not a free run.
They're all
Hi,
H- they're
we're
all
talking about
H
free run.
names.
Hera.
They're all H names.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
are. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so yeah, and then Hera discovers that Thorn is a traitor because what she saw like some notes of his, or she saw like
saw a seal.
like
Yeah, when she
Oh, the
was
seal.
captured, when she was captured by Wolf, she saw the seal on the thing, and then she saw that seal later, and was like, "Wait a minute!"
yeah, and
There's
then
a
I guess
yeah,
that-
traitor among us.
I guess there was a point to that scene or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the point. That's the
It was the
one
point to set up the
story
betrayal.
reason.
yeah.
But
So then
we really didn't have to have that whole
No, we didn't.
interaction between Hera and Wolf, and like first
Yeah.
of all, I was
Yeah.
like, I know they're childhood friends and they're friends, but like
there is that out more.
there was zero chemistry
Yeah.
between them in that. Like
They
Yep.
there are no
they
sparks
needed-
here whatsoever.
No.
Yep.
They needed to flesh it out. They only had like one backstory, and that's it. And that's
Yeah.
just for when he got the scar. If anything, the movie felt too long. Maybe they should have put some of the time in those 2 hours to actually giving a backstory. So
Yeah,
I
real-
disagree. I didn't care for any backstory about Wolf. I didn't think
I
it mattered.
think it's
I didn't think it mattered.
necessary.
Honestly, I don't
Well-
really know if it mattered entirely to a degree.
It doesn't. It doesn't actually. So if you think about backstory, are we doing it to satisfy our need for content the way, like, say, if you're watching an anime show or a film, like, is it going to contribute anything to the narrative?
I
It would
think it
not have
would.
changed. I don't think it would have changed because Wolf's motivation was always going to be what we saw, what was fleshed out. Like, that was
I agree.
always his motivation. And I don't think telling him about his childhood with Hera would have changed anything about what he did and why he did it.
I think it would,
yeah.
because it would give more context to him because there's a contrast here. Wolf is dark, Hera is light. Wolf represents rage and revenge. Hera represents all that is good. They
why
clash.
is Wolf like this?
Yes,
Yeah.
they need to explain that better. They need to do more with his character,
So-
and they don't flesh him out more. I don't
Like-
get the sense that these were great childhood friends. I just get a sense, oh, you were friends as kids, but now you're just
Yeah, so-
different people these days, I guess. And it's not like
Seems
Hera
like they
doesn't
haven't
keep up
seen
with the
each
dude.
other
Like
for a
she,
long-
like I
Yeah,
believe.
guys.
I believe in like the beginning part of the movie, she's like, I tried writing him and he doesn't write back to me and it's been years. So it's like, well, how close were you guys anyway?
I
Yeah.
but at some point, if you're gonna do a Lord of the Rings movie, you're gonna do anything Tolkien, you have to recognize that you're either gonna go straight into the realm of made up stuff, or you're going to use source material. And in this case, because they were really trying to find a nice balance between source material and creativity on the behalf of the director, they couldn't stray too far. If they had gone a lot of extra stuff, no, I'm telling you as a Tolkien fan, if they had gone out of their way to make up all this extra stuff beyond what they did make up, it would have been a lot more poorly received by Tolkien fans, because it would have made no sense to us. Like you have to remember your audience, and if your audience consists of people who've read the Legendarium and you're making up stuff,
but
you're going to alienate your fans.
That does not describe like a mainstream audience who is going to be marketing this movie towards. Which again, they did not market this movie at all.
Maybe.
But even if they did,
Yeah.
the normal person has not read a book. I'm sorry.
So
nobody has read.
That's
Like,
bad.
unless
You guys should read it. It's really good.
But I'm just
Reading.
saying, as like a casual person, like as a person who goes into the movie theaters, I have never read a Lord of the Rings book, and I'm pretty sure there's millions of people like me. And that's not ignorance. That's just I'm not interested in putting time into reading it. That's just a personal thing on my end.
I don't think we're asking for like 30 more minutes talking about this. We're like 5-10 minutes.
So like a good
Just a little
good
bit more to flesh it out more, give more backstory, give more to these characters, because as is, I don't feel a strong connection with them. I do like Hera as a character. I think she is the best character in the movie, which she should be because she's the main character.
Well, now, what about him?
Olin. I will counter that. I thought Olin was one of my favorite characters, and she's got very little screen time. She's got very little backstory and time spent with her. She's a handmaiden, but holy crap, the time she was on screen, she was awesome. She was likable. Even Sketch and I were talking. So you can make a really compelling character without giving them all this extra like backstory. You can make a compelling character without doing that.
You can
do it with what's on the screen.
But it's all dependent on the writing, and I think the writing for that character specifically was really good too. It's just when you're trying to talk about the antagonist and the side characters, the movie itself on a base level, from my perspective as somebody who has no interest in reading the books or lore of Lord of the Rings, it feels very basic and bare bones.
So I'm gonna like lift this idea, like, because ironically, Silver of Toonami Squad, he just sent this in our Discord like a few minutes, or not even a few minutes, like an hour ago, because we were talking about Rohirrim before the podcast, and I'm gonna lift this quote from him. He says, "The more I think about the film, the more I go, this could have worked. Rohirrim needed more scenes with Hera and Wolf to develop some kind of connection between the two beyond just Hera saying, we used to be childhood friends. Maybe start the movie with them as kids, then flash forward to her riding the horse, following the eagle, then just sprinkle in like a few scenes of Hera or Wolf getting flashbacks, looking to the past, wondering where it all went wrong between then and now. Just something to give it more meat behind them besides, we used to be friends now, but we're not."
Can I make a counterpoint? I will say it was never about her and him. It was about him and his honor, and it was about her and her family. It was never about their relationship. It was about her standing up for her people and her father, and it was about him trying to regain his honor. So regardless of whether or not they wanted to invest in this relationship, it doesn't contribute anything to what they're antagonizing over. What they're antagonizing over is not about the relationship. It's about their families and about their honor and about their land and their people. That's what it's about. So that would be my counter argument. And I get everybody's gonna have different perspective on this, but I stand by mine, and this isn't me trying to push reading the books on you. I always encourage people to read material because I love it, and that was my personal opinion. But not everybody has to read or want to read. This movie is made to be that way, but I think you can get that message from watching these characters that it's not about their relationship with each other ever. That's just a side effect. And I think having the scene with them in Isengard really confused that. Like if they'd taken out that scene between them, then we would never even be having this discussion because it was never about them having that interaction of like she insulted him and all that.
Yeah. So yeah. So I'm gonna.
Well,
so
one more
moving
thing
on.
about that scene in Isengard, like she drops like her binocular or something. Like they make a point of showing that falling into the mud, and then like, are we just to assume that was the crucial clue that led them to what? Like there was no point to that. There was no follow up.
Yeah.
I don't remember a binocular, so I don't know.
It stood out to me because when she got kidnapped and she dropped something, it's like, oh, well, that'll be the clue that she got taken, but like I don't know, maybe.
I remember what you're talking about. I had that exact moment watching it, like, oh, there's the clue.
How'd they find her? How did they find her? You're right.
I guess doesn't matter. Maybe they dropped it, and then like when they dropped that thing, they just like, well, everyone knows it's going to be alluding to them finding it, so we're just not going to put a scene in. I guess
it was a cut scene that we deserve. We deserve that cut scene.
Exactly. It was like they just assumed we knew the context. Yeah.
Extended edition Blu-ray. We're gonna get like an extra 30 minutes just to answer that one question.
Yeah.
But to move on. So like, Hallet, that's the older one. He ends up dying, and then they all start going away. But of course, Hama's old horse falls behind, so then he ends up getting taken, and then they retreat to I know it's called Helm's Deep, but that was after the movie.
Hornburg.
What was it called before?
The Hornburg.
Yeah, so they retreat there, and then you see because
Which was the particular place that Freyloff said, "Hey, you should go there."
Yeah, so then like they retreat there, and I'm just like, oh my god, did he die or did he get taken? And then I saw he's captured, and I'm like, oh, maybe there's a chance now he gets taken out.
Executed.
And it's just
Nope.
And it was just okay. I will say like that got me because I thought that there was a moment in me where I was like, maybe he can be saved, and then no.
No, there was no. That was like one of the most predictable things from the beginning of this movie. There was no way that Wolf would ever be saved.
No, not Wolf, the brother. Hama. Like when he had him against the knife, and Hammerhand's like, no, take
Wolf's
me
not
instead.
having his come to Jesus moment. Sorry.
No.
Well, Wolf just goes worse and worse as the movie goes. He's just like,
Yes.
You know what?
Oh,
I think
God.
I'm gonna.
We've already
even
gone
more.
so far. Let's see how far we can go.
He's like
Maybe
got
it's just
angry,
me.
and then he stayed angry.
Maybe it's just me, but he kind of becomes a little bit cartoonish villain.
Yeah.
A bit.
Yeah. So then he kills
she
Hama.
thinks she's safe in there, but she's wrong.
I'm going to starve them out. Yeah.
Yes.
Twirling his little mustache.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. So then
Once
they
again, his advisor is like, "You should make
Dude,
the
it's almost
trade.
winter. We should just go.
Just make the trade. The king is offering your life. You get to be the king." He's like, "Nah. I'm gonna kill him."
This ain't about getting this ain't about getting the title. It's about the principle. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. It absolutely is.
Professionals have standards.
His mindset is, if he only kills one of the brothers, then they're not alone. The whole point is, I am now alone. I want somebody else to feel this loneliness that I feel.
Little did he know, the countless people who lost their fathers in the war that just happened are quite alone.
Right?
Yeah. So then he ends up dying, and then they retreat inside Thornburg, and then Wolf decides they set up camp there because like they were building that
The siege machine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot about that. Leave the body to rot. Oh my god.
Insult to injury. At
and
least they put a something on top of it eventually, but like,
That's something straight up from Greek tragedy too. Like that's straight up like that's a 2,000-year-old tale. Seriously.
Yeah.
It was a raw ass line though. Fucking leave the body to rot. I
Yes.
love
Yeah.
that shit.
Yeah.
That's
So-
cold-blooded.
So yeah, then they go in, and then Hammerhand's like down, and then this is when Hera goes in, because I forgot what she was doing. She was going in Thornburg, and that's when she stumbled upon like this lady, like the older lady. I forgot her name. And then that's when she finds his
Creepy old
chest, and
woman.
then and then she finds the chest with that old up torn like wedding dress, which for anyone who's seen the trailers or any piece of and the few pieces of marketing, that'll become important later. And then hold on, because
Oh, my lady, don't touch that. It's like, well, why not?
Yeah.
It's important for the plot later.
I'm gonna
Yes,
need you to
yes.
use that accent sketch for the rest of the podcast.
oh my
You
god,
like the poor, like Southern English accent.
Lord,
Lady.
I'm
So-
fucking old.
I'm pretty sure this.
The terrible things roam these halls. Oh yeah, who says that? I says that.
Why do I feel like this is another Zelda CDI character? I'm pretty sure someone
Oh my
sounds
god,
like
yeah,
that.
she
Oh,
probably
yeah,
is
totally.
a fucking Zelda CDI character.
I'm pretty sure someone sounds like that in the games. But yeah, so then Hera lays next to Hammerhand, but then like time passes and all of a sudden Hammerhand's gone, and I'm just like, because they're talking the Reaper or whatever that
The
they were
Reaper.
saying.
He's become a wraith. They said he became a wraith.
Or
Yeah,
I thought they said that he became a revenant, or was it a wraith?
A wraith.
A wraith.
I
He
might be thinking D&D lore. My
he
bad.
goes out. He keeps
Yeah.
going out and like killing any looters or anyone wandering, and then he comes back, and he's been doing that the whole time, and then finally his daughter figures it out, and she goes and follows him. Like he's kind of a badass. Like
You want to know what's funny?
Badass.
Because I thought of this meme when he got up and he was just wrecking house. It was like, man, literally too angry to die.
yeah.
That's all I thought.
I remember with that whole thing where it was like, you can't possibly kill them all, and it's like, I don't know, he's been doing pretty good up till now. I think we should let him go off. I think he's got this
Keep
at
this
this
up.
point.
I think a couple more nights he'll probably polish them off.
Yeah, look at them. They're already spooked, scared. You guys just killed a troll. I think this is cooked.
He's like fighting
Yeah.
with his bare hands the whole time
Yes.
too. Like
Yeah.
dude's a real one.
It's like,
Don't
you
call him
haven't.
Hammerhand for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you haven't seen the things I've seen. I think that was the line. It was like, and then Hera goes out because like I think she accidentally stumbled upon like the secret exit.
Secret tunnel.
Secret tunnel.
Tunnel! Secret
Uh,
tunnel!
Oh,
so the-
milady, you must be careful of the secret passages.
But yeah, so then eventually they got oh look, orcs who are collecting rings, which I'm pretty sure are important to the trilogy, but I haven't
Could've
seen the
done without
trilogy.
that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that-
that
was-
was in fact the
That was the
least
one
necessary
time
scene.
I felt like it was a remember Star Wars moment where it was like, remember the ring?
berries?
Yes,
Remember
we
Ring?
Mordor wants
Remember
to
the
be
ring.
Eat those member berries, everybody.
It
Thankfully, it was
didn't.
short.
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, because if you're having people come in that maybe haven't read the books, then this contributes nothing overall to the story. Another thing they could have just cut completely,
Yeah.
and then had.
Yeah,
and I would have been
they
like,
just
"Go on,"
But
I
technically,
feel like they put this scene in there just so they could have it in the trailer.
but like,
yeah.
would have been cool instead was to see some more battles. Like I would
Yeah.
replace that whole scene with a fight between some skirmish between the soldiers stationed in the Hornburg and the guys who were out looting.
Or
bodies.
give us,
like
Yeah.
give us an entire scene of Hammerhand just wrecking house with his bare fists.
yeah,
Or,
that.
Well,
I'll watch
technically
that.
he does that.
Yeah, he does that
technically
shortly
later. he does that later, but I'm like
could've
talking
done
like
more.
you know, a whole scene. Like, you want to know what would have been great? A scene from like Wolf's or just like the opposing side's perspective of what's that out there? Like, because it's snowing, right? And it's like a blizzard, so you can't see much. So it's like, what's that out there? And then you just see these people getting taken out, like in the fog. That would have been cool. Actually,
been
thinking
cool.
about that.
Fear not, shadows can't hurt you. We'll see about that, Wolf. We'll see about that.
I am now helmed Shadowhand.
Oh, Shadowhands.
But yeah, and then like but the orcs technically, I think because the orcs were there, and you said you could have taken them out, but then Hera saw them, and then she was trying to back up, but then I forgot what happened that got her
She
discovered.
backed into the big one.
Oh yeah, she backed into the big one,
And they're
and
like,
then
oh, there's not a lot of meat on her bones. Why don't we just give her to the beast, who I think means the big guy, but maybe they meant something else.
Yeah, and then there comes Hammerhand beating the crap out of them to save her. And then I think he didn't notice. Oh no, he did notice.
Plus,
it was
she
Hera.
does help.
I was about to say I thought he was gonna smash Hera first because he didn't notice her, but then I forgot. No, wait, he saw her when he was coming down. So
Yeah.
But yeah, so then he's down, and then I forgot what Hera tells him essentially, but like, what was it like? You can't be doing this or whatever. Like, I just remember
You can't tear apart his army one man at a time. Again,
Just watch
I don't know.
are you sure?
Are you sure about that?
It
Are
seems
we
to
watching
be
the
working
same
pretty
movie
well.
here?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then like, so they're
Gonna
trying to
try.
get back. So yeah, they're trying to get back, and then that's when like Wolf finds them and all that. So like, open the door, we're going together, and then they get
Of course,
it
it's the
open.
middle
only
of
for-
winter, so it's frozen shut very hard.
You want to know what that reminded me of? The scene from SpongeBob where he's like, "Stand back, to open sesame."
Yeah.
Well, I've done all I can do.
Well,
And then he dies freezing in place.
Yeah,
so-
it's cool. That's cool.
No, yeah. So yeah, they get the door open, and then like he pushes her in there. She's like, "Come in." No, and it's like, you stay here, and then he's like, "I'm so proud of you," and all that, and yeah, like freaking badass
You
moment to where.
stay, I go.
Yeah, and then he shuts the door, and he's like, "Come
Okay,
on, come
Arnold."
and get me."
Yeah, I feel like with the door scene, it's like I just imagine it's like, no, we can push it a little bit more. Just come on. And he's like, no, I have to have my cool death scene.
I mean,
And
that
must
is
be
how
the
he
coolest
dies.
moment, Yeah.
Yeah.
That is actually how he dies. He dies standing upright, knees unbent, frozen solid, as with all the bodies around him. It's actually a pretty epic.
It's pretty freaking badass. It's like,
It
you
is
know,
Yeah, it is.
incredible.
Yeah.
dog, like go off, go have your heroic death. You earned it.
Yeah.
So you could argue, oh, you could have gotten in, but then they'd be going against the source material, which you can't
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
No.
And he has his moment where he's like, Hera, I didn't see it before, but you are fit to lead them. It's
Yeah,
like,
I think that
this is
was
the
good.
moment. This is the moment.
And it didn't feel forced at all, because I feel like she's been competent up this point. She's been showing her like leadership ability, where she's trying to keep everyone like together while her dad's basically passed out in bed, just going like, "Argh." So and while everyone else is like, man, it fucking sucks here, I hate it, and she's like, well, actually, the darkness is brightest before the dawn, or whatever the fuck. And then it's
no,
like,
pretty
oh, wow.
words, but I ain't got any booze left.
She's doing her best.
Yeah, but I feel like she was showing herself off as a competent leader, so it felt earned when he said that, instead of like him just saying that. And she's like, well, I guess I have to be the leader now.
Also, Helm at this point is fighting a war of attrition. He's like, I think he knew that he didn't have much longer to live, and he was going to take out as many as he could with him. He's like, we're all going down together.
I mean, in the like a warfare sense, he probably killed morale big time. If it was already fucked as is due to his previous actions.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and it's funny you mentioned he killed morale, because then the idea they get is send a message to Freyloth to what they send his armor. They send Helm's armor to Freyloth so that jumping a little ahead, because then when they see it, immediately everyone's like, it's Hammerhand, run. But yeah. So continuing on, and then like Freya. I said Freya. I meant to say Hera. Yeah. So they send the message to. I don't. It's because I'm pretty sure. Oh, I know why. It's because I recently played God of War, and there's a character by that same name, and I think that's why I keep mixing it up. Sorry.
I mean, she does give like a Freya vibe, but
yeah,
it's a good game.
It is a good game. So then they get the idea to send the armor to Freya off. And then that's when she takes a stand, and it's like, because they're finishing up that bridge, and then it's time for clearly third act time, final battle time. Let's go. So then,
yeah, but let's not gloss over the fact that she climbed the freaking mountain.
Oh yeah,
to talk to the eagle.
That was.
Oh my god! I forgot about that. On it. Thank God you reminded me, because I legit forgot about
that. Was a really beautifully animated scene too. Like they did a nice pan over the scenery and over the mountains and over the armor.
That was beautiful.
This movie tends to have like great scale, but I feel like the scope of it feels very small in comparison.
Yeah.
No, but the cinematic overviews and backgrounds were really beautiful.
I agree. It's a very beautiful movie.
I guess like it's like when you have those cinematic backgrounds and all that, and then sometimes you get these characters that just don't look the greatest. Like when you're on a big screen, like that's when
those like, wide shots of whole armies. You're like, well, those are a bunch of CGI soldiers.
Yeah. The cardboard armies. Woe be those who face their wooden edge. I will say, if like I was watching this at like home on my TV, like I have a decent sized TV, but like I feel like I probably wouldn't have noticed it.
You wouldn't have
like
noticed.
showing at home.
I saw it on IMAX.
I saw it in like whatever the best quality was for AMC, but I
saw it in AMC too.
I don't mind them using CGI because I get it, because doing that all by hand is time consuming and expensive.
Especially with all the beautiful scenes, like we could take away with these soldiers.
I didn't really mind them using CGI. I didn't really care, and honestly, if nobody pointed it out to me, I probably wouldn't have noticed.
I mean,
outright,
at least
it's passable. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's passable.
At least they use CGI on the lesser important stuff, unlike unlike another Sola show, which use CGI on everything later. But anyway, yeah. But to go back to the thing, so yeah, she climbs the mountain because she was trying to convince the Eagles to send the armor, right? Or was
to carry the armor to Freylong.
To carry the armor.
Message.
Yeah,
because none of their messenger birds can get past the archers, but a freaking gigantic bird definitely can.
Really quick funny thing on the wiki. So it like has a list of the species and creatures, and like the great eagles are first, but it's like great eagles, men, Myrmakill, or it's like I like that men is included in there because you don't like think about it. It's like I guess that is a species, huh? Yeah, I suppose that's fair. It's just it looks really out of place next to Myrmakill and great eagles.
They're pretty great eagles.
They are pretty great eagles.
Yeah. But yeah, so then like it's time for the final battle, but then you gotta see her being I guess like strong, because then like I think she's about to have the battle, but then everyone has to retreat again, and you see people getting annoyed.
She's trying to buy time. She's trying to buy time for her people to retreat and for Freylong's army to come and rescue them. So she does, which is at the time for this world, it's considered her asking for one-on-one combat was the right call. It was the right thing to do, and he would have looked really stupid if he'd refused her. He would have looked humiliated in front of his men if he had said no. So he had no choice but to accept her offer to fight. It was a brilliant move on her part, and she clearly felt confident enough in her abilities that she could hold her own.
It was at least set up in the flashback too that like she's more skilled than him at that point as children. So I'm sure they similar skill level.
No, I was talking about like before that they had the fight to where like the villagers are getting ready to leave, and she was cheering up some children, and then there was that one guy, I forgot his name, but like the like the big guy who was I forgot his name, but he was
Was he
there
like
since
the-
the beginning.
The young
Like
guy.
a servant boy?
Yeah,
Yeah, the servant boy.
He reads
He was one of the guards.
Yeah,
I forget what they call it when you read the herald.
Mhm.
He's a herald. That's what it is.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a herald.
Mhm.
Was
Yeah.
his name like Leaf? Or is that
Yeah.
somebody else?
Yeah,
I
Lee,
I think
yeah.
that was his name.
I only remember his name because I was like, oh, that's a Fire Emblem character's name. Oh, wow.
I feel like I don't know what the Japanese cast of this is, but I feel like the Japanese cast for this would have like the voice of Deku as
Probably.
head.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh, God.
I will say I enjoyed little heraldry boy Leaf. He was fun. He was just
Yeah.
like,
He was fun.
I loved how he would just the plot would he would like stumble into the plot and be like, oh, oopsie, I fell. And it's like, wait a minute, you just solved all our problems. It's like, oh, cool, thanks.
But yeah, like pretty much like you see her, you know, like tending to the children and the villagers. It's like, don't worry, it's gonna be okay. I got this and all that. And then yeah, that's when she rides off. They finish their bridge, and then yeah, the big scene that's like in all the trailers, and she's like, I'm here to end this and fight you. And of course he's like, who do you pledge loyalty to? It's like death. And
Well,
then
he asks her
cue the
who she's a bride. Who
Oh,
was
bride,
her-
who she's a bride.
He says
Yeah,
who's
that's
her
right.
bridegroom, and she says death. And honestly,
Oh, yeah.
like inside me,
Raw.
everything
Raw.
about me as a woman was like, yeah, bitch,
That
yeah.
was one of like the best lines in the movie.
She's a strong, independent woman, and she don't need no man.
She says death is her man, and I loved it.
It was
Yeah,
a
I
very
forgot-
good
yeah,
scene.
And honestly,
I-
it was the design of it as a whole with like the wedding dress like all torn and shit over armor, like kind of looking like a bride of death almost to a degree. Like
Yeah.
it was pretty freaking awesome.
It is.
yeah,
Very
that's
middle,
one of the
very
best
middle.
scenes in the entire movie.
Yes,
Mhm.
and I will say, like, clearly they actually put effort, really good effort, somewhat to the animation of their fight. Because, like,
Mhm.
I will say, like, their fight in that in the end was like, yeah, this is woof. This is like
It's a
actually
real
really
fight.
great.
It was a
Like a real
well-coordinated fight. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, the
Yeah.
choreography on that was beautiful. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, this is some top tier shit. All right, and like the little thing where Olwen like threw the shield right at the end and she just
Yeah,
fucking
Captain
suffocated.
Yeah.
America moment.
Yeah.
It was like
Mhm.
I was like, that is so fucking great, and like I think it was really good that he died like through suffocation. Psychotic thing to say in hindsight, but you know, it was like
he
it's
almost
really.
died of suffocation at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, did he?
Wait,
Oh yeah, because
yeah, he
he's being
did. Yeah,
choked.
'cause-
Oh yeah, fuck! I didn't even think of that. So that's like a double symbolic or whatever. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's
He
awesome.
dies even more than that. He dies for being choked by a shield, not by killed by a sword. He's choked by a shield. That has a whole level of symbolism in itself.
Yeah,
I love it.
was
I,
it
I
Hera
feel like the
who
shield
choked
was
him?
way better than like a huh?
Was it Hera who choked him?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Yeah, she
Oh.
just held the shield down on his neck.
Yeah.
and-
I think it was at the start of the movie. Helm was like choking him by the
Yeah,
neck.
he
though,
was
I
he was
remember. It was
choking
like-
him, and you know what? Boy, they sure could have avoided a lot if Helm
Yeah,
had just
could've
finished
saved
the
a
job
lot of
then.
trouble. Yeah. I don't remember who stopped him, but they really shouldn't have.
It was
No.
Hera.
Oh, was it? Well, look what you did.
Yeah.
Look what you did.
That's she.
And then she
bet
finished the
paid
job.
for that. She did. Yeah, it was a lot of. I love all the symbolism. That was. I'm glad we all agreed that that was the best scene in the whole film.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
easily one of my favorite
Yeah,
moments in that entire
It was
movie.
all the build up to that point was totally worth it added so much to that scene like that
Yeah.
that scene that felt like it was like oh this is an old wedding dress that someone wore. Wow, that's cool. Can I have it? No, fuck off. And then she's like, well, I think you're finally ready to wear this cool wedding dress. It's like, well, thank you. Also, I don't know. I will say the
She
old
was a
lady was
rough
kind of
shade.
weird. She just kind of like she was really mean for a while, and then out of nowhere she was like, well, I'm nice now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on a
Just
group
random.
hug now.
I like
It's
you guys
she-
now. You.
She's like,
chill.
I'm taking the liar because we need the firewood.
Oh yeah, we need the
But
firewood.
she never destroyed it. No.
Yeah, no,
She
I
made
will
sure to
say
pass
that
it
was
along.
that was a kind of cool little scene there when she's like, oh, actually, the liar's right here. I tricked you.
Yeah.
I'm a liar about the liar.
That was good.
Oh, sketch.
Yeah,
Oh,
But,
sketch. No.
yeah,
I'm
No.
a liar, liar.
No, no, no.
Let's hope my pants are on fire.
You know that I love your puns, but absolutely not that one.
No, the bridge is on fire.
one thing. One.
Sorry.
Oh wait,
You're
whoa,
good.
whoa! You know when the thing came in, like the guy's like drumming on there. It's like, did anybody tell that guy that thing's gonna fall over?
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah, no,
forgot.
that fucking was
Oh,
so
no,
cool.
Whoa.
It's like,
He
Hey,
looked
hey,
really
the
surprised.
Hey, guys! I'm still on it, guys! Oh!
Damn, the ground's
I
getting
for-
kind of close.
I forgot about that, and then I'm thinking about it now. I saw him drumming it, and then it was raising up, and I'm like, wait a second, isn't that thing gonna fall?
Yeah,
just
exactly. I'm
like-
like,
Yes.
man, this guy's dedicated to his art. I gotta respect that.
Yeah.
Didn't stop drumming until it hit the ground.
Yeah. One
And
thing
big
I
shout
forgot to
out
mention.
Shout out to Olwen though. Like she was told to leave and she followed her lady and she's one of the true heroes of all of this because
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
she shows up at the right moments and if it weren't for her, our leading lady wouldn't have been able to get as far as she'd gotten. Hello, Samwise.
Quite
Gamgee.
literally. Yeah,
Yes.
oh, dude. Honestly, she
Yeah.
is the fucking Sam of this movie.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Like in the crap. I just had it in a lot. Oh yeah, because like they were fighting and like then she got the upper hand on him, and he was gonna go again. But then that's when what's his name again? Like his right hand man, the
Targ.
Yeah, Targ.
Yeah, poor
Yeah,
Targ.
Arr.
Yeah, he was literally telling him, "Okay, that's enough." Is like you clearly lost.
Hey.
It's like we need to call it a loss, and immediately get stabbed. And I'm just like, and I saw that coming too. He's like, he's telling him
Yeah.
to stop. He's
Well,
he's gonna stab him.
The crazy thing is that Targ knew that her conditions were just for her people. She was not fighting for the crown. She was fighting for her people. So even if they had retreated, they would have retreated to Meliseld and had the crown still. That would have been a whole nother battle. So Targ is thinking quite smartly here. Like, let's not humiliate you anymore. Let's retreat back to where we know we're strong and let these people go. So, like I feel like Targ was given a big injustice moment here. His friend stabs him. Like, man, you're a motherfucker at this point. You completely lost all sense of reality.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No. Poor Targ. He was just like he was loyal to the wrong guy.
Yeah. And then that's when Hera jumps in again. And does she deliver the final blow there, or was
I
it?
think at some point, quickly after that, yeah.
No, I think what.
They start fighting again. They start converging on the bridge. Olwen comes out, and then she loses her sword, and she starts Wolf starts attacking her again, and then Olwen throws her the shield to defend, and that's how she takes him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought what it was that Hera put him down, and then he was kneeling, and then she was telling him, "Okay, that's enough, surrender," and all that, and he's like, "Fine, I surrender," but then he's like, "Psych," and then he tried.
Yeah, he does.
Well, he
Yeah.
does pull the
Yeah.
psych. He does pull the
Catches
psych.
the-
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and
She
then that's
catches
when she
the
does it.
sword.
Yeah, because
That's afterwards. Yes.
Yeah, she can't, and that's how she overpowers him because he has like the small knife, and she kind of catches it with the shield, and then just
Oh yeah, and then
if I remember right.
and then that's how it happens. Yeah.
Yeah, there are two parts to that fight. She does defeat him, and then Targ steps in, and then he does, and at that point his men, the agreement was they would not attack the Hornburg if she won, and then he tells his men to surge forward.
Yeah.
So the last remaining part of the guard come and they meet over the bridge, and it's chaos.
Yeah, and then they blew it up. Like I remember they blew up the bridge, and then that's when the eagles start swooping in, and then there's the shadowy figure of Hammerhand, but that's
at that
Freylock in
point
his
they're all
armor.
like, "Fuck, it's over."
Yeah, it's over. We're all running.
Good old
and all that.
Man,
But I
I
will
got
say-
robbed a siege battle though. I really felt robbed. I
Yeah.
deserved a siege battle. I came here
Yeah.
for a siege battle, and instead I got some orcs hunting for rings. And I'm like, no, let's swap out that scene for a little bit of siege warfare, okay? That would have been
Yeah.
great.
And then they kind of somewhat start a siege warfare with some cardboard cutouts, but then and then Hera shows up with the one-on-one duel, and then but
in this, one might argue that Freylock kind of got the thunder stolen from him, because in those 2 pages, it's heavily implied that he is the hero of this story. Yeah.
Mhm. I mean, he does come in with all the he gathers up all of the people who've been scattered, and yeah, he rescues and rallies the Rohirrim. So yeah, I guess he's a hero. And he does do something heroic. I mean, they would have been fucked
does.
probably.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would say
he was the cavalry.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
also though, in the context of like the general plot of the movie, it is implied that like she's forgotten from history, so they just focus on him and they're like, oh well, we gotta hype him up some more, so it looks like he actually did something.
Didn't the page imply that he killed Wolf?
Well, yeah, I think that's part of it. I don't know if that's on the page, but if that is the
It
case,
doesn't actually say. It doesn't say.
doesn't. Okay, so I don't know. Yeah, I never read
Oh,
it.
that's
so.
a little better then.
Oh
Yeah,
no, you're
so
right. I stand corrected. It does say yes.
Well, it follows back to the context of the movie where she's forgotten by history, so they have to have somebody beat it. Wouldn't make sense to put the king, the current king at that, or the new king.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he does slay Wolf, but I liked this version better.
Yeah. Well, technically, I mean, it could say because the movie starts with "oh, she's not remembered" and all that, and all. It could.
He definitely is. He's the cavalry. He saved the day.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It could just be
killed the boss.
Yeah, it could just be like a history thing where this is how history remembers it, but this is how it actually happened or whatever. But yeah, so then Freyloff shows up
I
in the
can
armor.
see how that might rub people wrong, but honestly, I don't think it's a big deal.
It really is not a big deal. It's not actually that important. That's the thing. It's not that important.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, the 2 pages of text are now slightly different in the grand scheme of things, you know?
Yeah.
Well, if it had true lore impact, like say some of the things that they're doing in Rings of Power, I can understand why people would be upset.
Yeah.
This actually doesn't affect anything long term within the story of Rohan. It really doesn't. So
It basically
having them switch it out, and honestly, as we said, it was such an amazing scene. Claiming to be the bride of death, like how do you get better than that? You don't. You don't get better than that.
And even that, it's not like Fryloff didn't do anything. He did technically save, like, you know, he made sure everyone didn't get murked. Yeah, he still saved the day, so it's not like
he became
being robbed
king
of his glory too. He became the king, yeah. So it's like they both get their cake and get to eat it.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so
he doesn't want the credit.
Exactly. It just you know, historians are gonna write what they want to write.
Yeah. So then he saves the day. Everyone runs away. I forgot how they ended it because then I remember it cuts to like after the battle. Freyloff is declared.
I think Hera was meant to send a message to Gandalf.
Yeah, that's another thing that I'm kind of like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know how.
That's where I
really
remember
think that was
Gandalf.
needed.
I was trying to remember where Gandalf was in the end because I was like, I knew I remembered him being there.
In the whole scheme
he's mentioned
of
in the movie, but I don't think you see him at all in the movie.
No. He's mentioned, but he's not seen.
Yeah.
And in the scheme of the whole history of Rohan, like there actually is no overlap in any ring lore. There's absolutely no reason they should have had any of that in there. There's plenty of drama they could have concluded the movie with that's just focused on Rohan history and their horses and their people. Like they could have just stuck with that and kept it all. Like that was just a cheap attempt to connect it to the Lord of the Rings, and it was unnecessary. I could have done with that. And I enjoyed this movie, but
I feel like the Saruman thing wasn't that bad, but yeah, like the I gotta go talk to Gandalf and the hey look I found the ring. It was like okay.
The Saruman thing makes sense because Saruman's invited to Isengard and he takes up lordship there, and that actually makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense. That makes actually perfect sense. The Gandalf one, that's way much
more Star Wars.
It was.
Yeah,
it's kind of giving Hera something to go do.
Yeah,
look, Hera, don't you want to go on a? Yeah, it's like look, we're writing the sequel now, or it could be sequel bait. Who knows?
But what was I gonna say? No, because then Freyloff
she
is
was wild and free, and she remained so. Are you sure she didn't go off and had a lesbian league ever after?
Not if we want to sell this movie in China, she won't.
You know what? The way you just said that made me think of Randall from Clerks.
I can't say I know that reference, unfortunately.
You never seen the movie Clerks or the animated series?
No, I unfortunately haven't.
Those are good movies. Well,
I mean, to be
I'll
fair,
put that
I
on
have
the
not
list.
seen those either.
It's not
I've
anything
seen.
that
I
is
think
said
I've
per
seen
se.
some clip. I've
It's
seen
just the
clips from
delivery.
I've seen some clips from that the animated one. I think where it was like, "Can I have a pack?" And then and he's like, "What'd you just call me?" Or something like that.
No, yeah. So like the end. So like in the end, he's declared Freelock is declared the new king, but then he's talking with S.A.R.A because I guess she was initially going to be it, but she turned it down. And then
the line.
yeah, and then Saruman shows up. Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading the thing. It's like as a new because he's the new keeper of Isengard and offers friendship to Freylof. And then that's where what's his name? Christopher Lee. Yeah,
Christopher
that's
Lee.
What
Christopher Lee is a legend. I can't believe you don't remember his name. He's
Yeah.
legendary.
So I'm gonna be honest.
What a great
I'm
actor and person.
I'm gonna be honest because I actually remember when the story broke out of his death. The only thing I saw him in was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because he was Johnny Depp's. He was Johnny Depp's father.
He was in Star Wars. He was in
Count Dooku.
Yep.
a lot of old Hammer horror films.
Yeah, he was in this random. He was in this random werewolf movie where it was like my sister's a werewolf or something too.
He does loads of voice acting. He had a metal band.
I was gonna say maybe I might have heard him in some voice acting.
Xehanort was what's his name?
Leonard Nimoy.
No, Leonard Nimoy. Leonard Nimoy. He did loads of voice acting. He had a metal band.
Come on.
He was like part of like MI6 or something. Like he was part of like the English like special services at one point.
Yeah, he was also in
he's a knight also.
He was in one of the old school James Bond films, The Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah.
He has a very.
Wouldn't it be a shame if he wasn't in a James Bond movie after
He was a villain, and he was a villain for a lot of movies. He's got a really big career.
Yeah.
I would be really surprised if you didn't recognize him from something else besides this.
Yeah, because
he's truly legend. He's
legend. He's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, he shows up and it's actually Christopher Lee's voice. And yeah, like what you were saying way earlier is like that's like like if you have to use a dead person in a movie, that's the right thing to do, is just go to the estate or go to their, like, I don't know how that works, but get permission to use archival footage and all that.
Yeah, that's all it is just talking to the estate, telling them, hey, we plan on using the deceased voice of the person of the estate, and basically working out agreements about royalties and all that.
Yeah,
and it's basically like it's not they're not doing anything. They're not modifying the voice so it works. It's not AI or anything. It's literally them going through the archive of hours and hours of outtakes and footage and what they can use.
Yeah, like that. Like that's the right way to do it.
It's the ethical way of
reprising
characters.
I agree.
Yeah. So then, and then that happens, and then the movie ends with like,
Star Wars should have taken that.
Yeah,
and the movie ends, and you see Jason DeMarco's name on the big screen.
Yeah,
Jason DeMarco's name. But like, and then they end the movie with like, oh, she's gonna go off and do her own thing. It was like, what's this? I got a letter from this wizard. What's his name? Gandalf. And then they ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like, remember the trilogy? The trilogy exists.
Remember Star Wars?
But yeah, that was the movie. So like, I'll admit, because like when I guess
you
like
forgot
this is
the part, the crucial part where she's like, this isn't called the Hornburg anymore. It will now be known as Helm's
Deep.
And that's the moment where everybody's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Ooh.
Nope, there it is. Yeah.
I mean, for me, I was just like, because like I think before I saw the movie, I already know. Oh yeah, this location's called Helm's Deep in the trilogy, and it gets its name in this movie. It's like, okay, no, it's called Helm's Deep, and then they ride off in the sunset, and that's the movie. So I guess at this point we just like final thoughts and all that. So like for me, like because like I said, I have not seen the trilogy, but like as a film on its own, like I thought it was okay. Like, you know, I could get behind the story, and you know, there was just some like questionable moments in the story that I thought could have been better, like maybe flesh out the backstory, and then at the same time, like some of Wolf's, like that scene where she's captured and all that too, like that, and the animation, at some points it looks really amazing, but then at other points I'm like, this is like, what's going on here? It's like cardboard cutouts. we were talking about earlier.
A lot of studios that worked on that movie.
So the tried and true solo production. No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
And
to their credit, it looks like I'm pretty sure they credited every single animator. Though my friend was telling me that there isn't actually credits for the storyboard. Like, who did it then? Maybe it was Kenji Kamiyama.
I will say, there were storyboards in that Toonami behind the scenes thing they did.
Well, obviously there were storyboards.
Storyboards. Sorry.
Want to know a fun fact? The two orcs were voiced by Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan, who played Pippin and Merry in the trilogy film. That must have been a lot of fun. Yeah, I thought
that.
Yeah. That's a cute little cameo, and they must have loved that. So, yeah.
How did you not get Sean Astin in this thing? Come on. I mean, honestly, how did you not get Elijah Wood? Like, he's not hard to get.
So like in the end, I was like, you know, like this movie was okay. Like, I don't want to say it's fine, because I will say I did enjoy this. And I was entertained, but like there were also just moments to where I'm just like, you know, in terms of the story and just like the animation could have been better and all that. And if we want to talk about, like, I guess like the Sola and the Jason produced stuff, I will say this is one of the better, like, you know, one of the better produced you know, products from Sola, Jason, and then I'm not good with scores. If I had to say a score, I'd probably either a 6 or a 7 for me.
Wow, that's it? Oh my god. This is gorgeous score. I can't even believe I'm hearing this. That was my favorite part of the whole time.
You're not gonna like my score either.
I thought I thought you were talking about the music. I thought when you said
no.
That's what I interpreted. When you said score, you said talking about the score. I thought you meant you were talking about the score.
No, we're just talking about like the overall film, like what the score.
Like if I had to give a score, I'm
like rating. What are we rating the movie? Like,
I completely misinterpreted. I was like, the music was beautiful. What are you talking about?
No, the music was great.
No, yeah, the music was great. But yeah, like I was just saying, like I'm not great in score, but like I would have to say maybe either a 6 or a 7 for me in terms of the movie. Sai, how do you feel about the movie overall?
So I would say, like, overall, I have a very positive opinion of the movie after the fact. I feel like the animation was solid, even if it had its choppy bits. The stuff that mattered looked good, you know, and that's what I'm not like over here like pitchfork and the torch, like, oh, these cardboard soldiers, this is unwatchable, you know. And it's
how
just
dare
more
they
fun.
make Lord of the Rings woke.
Yeah, no, it's more, right? No, it's definitely more just like, it's something like I notice, and it's just like, it's fun to make fun of it, but it's not like some movie killer for me. And I will say, I really liked the main character, Hera. I feel like I was kind of worried they might do a Mary Sue kind of thing, and I feel like they avoided that. She didn't feel too Mary Sue-like. She didn't feel like she was just gonna like triumph everything. She had her moments of failure. She had her moments of triumph. She felt like everything felt earned for the most part. Like, I don't feel like there was any moments where I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe she did that. That's bullshit. I guess this movie's woke, you know? I think that was good. And like the supporting cast, while not incredibly fleshed out, was still enjoyable. Like, I got attached to fucking Leaf. I don't know. I thought he was funny. It was like this little like, he like, oops, I tripped.
I'm just happy to be here. It's
Yeah,
like,
he's like, I'm just happy to be here.
participate.
I'm glad I'm not dead at the end of this movie. Really, that's what I'm happy about. You know, but like it's like even like though some like died before their like chance to get more fleshing out. I think like every death was really cool, and like I would say like, and I would say overall, like as a spectacle, really fun. I'd say the story, it had its bits and pieces where I was like, this is really good, and this is kind of that scene didn't really feel necessary, but overall, it was a good package. The music, obviously good. I would say like overall, very positive experience. But I would say if I had to rate the entire movie out of a scale of 10, there was a point where I was kind of like putting it to a 6 because of the animation, but then I kind of thought it over and it's like I feel like I'm being too harsh. So I think I'm gonna give it a solid like 7, because like overall I enjoyed my time with the movie. The movie was fun. It didn't like spit on Lord of the Rings as like a franchise. Like it was like I feel like it was overall respectful, even with the shoehorny like look at Gandalf guys. I would say 7 out of 10 is what I would give it at the end of this. And maybe a 6 out of 10 if I watch it again, maybe. But like I'd say overall, I think it was a solid 7 out of 10. Like it was a good movie. It was a decent Lord of the Rings movie. I wish more Lord of the Rings things that came out recently were on the level of that, because I had a good time with it.
All right, Sam, because I know you definitely have things to say.
Well, if you want to know my overall thoughts on the movie, I thought at first it was just okay, and then the more I said on the movie, the more I really disliked aspects of it, and how I view the movie as a whole kind of feels lesser than what it wanted to be. But I don't think it's a bad movie, if that makes any sense. I just don't think it's worth going to the movie theater to watch, unless you really want to go watch a hand-drawn animated movie in theaters, or you're a big Lord of the Rings nut. I kind of view this as, if it comes to streaming platforms like Max, and you have that subscription, go ahead. It is fine enough to watch. For me, I have no desire to sit down and watch this movie again. It's just a movie that I just don't really have any strong connection towards. It's not the worst movie I saw last year. If Borderlands, which was the fucking worst movie of last year by a country mile, if that is a 1 out of 10, the Lord of the Rings for me is like a 5 out of 10. It's a perfectly fine movie. I probably would recommend it to people if you are a fan of Lord of the Rings, and even if you're a casual fan, yeah, check it out. It's fine, I guess. You're not gonna hate it. I personally didn't hate the movie. There are aspects of it that I do like, but I do wish that there was a lot more that they could have done with it. But as it stands, like, it's fine for what it is.
All right, Kuro, how do you feel about the movie overall?
I had an overall positive experience with it. I thought the musical score was absolutely beautiful. Stephen Gallagher did a great job throwing back to Howard Shore's musical score from the original films, and Howard Shore won a lot of awards for those scores. Even today, like, I can listen to them and just get those feelings from that music. And he adapted them really beautifully to match the mood and the feeling. And I especially love the original piece performed by Paris Paloma, the writer. Like, that, absolutely, the music was my favorite part of it. My second favorite part was beautifully rendered backgrounds, cinematic scenery. When they pan over Edoras and the mountains and, parts of the Hornburg, I thought they really put a lot of work into those scenes. And when you see that, for me, the impact on the big screen was so much more special than if I had watched it in my living room. And they really made an effort when they drew those and when they painted those to give a throwback to Peter Jackson's cinematography, which he won awards for. So I appreciate throwbacks, but I think even if I hadn't seen it, I could see and feel those moments, the music and the cinematography, and have that impact. This story was good. Like, I don't have any strong feelings about the story either way. I enjoyed it. I thought I thought that it was a good story to pick if they were going to pick something small and they wanted to beef it up to make a film. They did that well. My only criticism would be I would have taken out some of the references to Lord of the Rings and filled it instead with more scenes of warfare, more siege at the Hornburg maybe, or more clashes between the horse riders and Wolf's people. I think that would have been really interesting. You know, some of the scenes we discussed, having those replaced. And it would have been a lot more work, but just a personal preference to, as far as like taking advantage of the animation format, taking advantage of the cinematography. I think that would have been great. But otherwise, like, I think they did a good job. I mean, they took a very small piece of material and they made a full film out of it. They made a good story out of it, and it was pretty solid, and it had a very epic ending, of course, with the Bride of Death scene, which I think has its own bit of iconography. So I would rate it, with all these things together, personally, I would probably give it somewhere between a 7 and an 8. I'm not persnickety about animation style, and I think maybe I don't know, and the listeners can make their own judgments about whether my opinion about the characters' motivations is colored by my own reading the material or viewing of the film itself. I didn't feel like I was missing anything from that. My complaints were purely like small things, like, again, this isn't exactly an epic story to take, but they took it and they made a film out of it, and they did a nice job. So 7 to 8. Enjoyed the experience. Would definitely watch again. And for the record, this is the first film in a long time animated that I've seen in theaters. So it was a special moment for me to be able to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sketch, how do you feel about the movie overall?
So, on opening week, I went to see it with my father. I took my father to see this movie, and he enjoyed it. It was actually pretty funny. It wasn't until he saw the director's name that he went, "Oh, this is anime." Like, what, the Japanese Warner Brothers logo wasn't a clue for you? And he's seen movies like Spirited Away and some other stuff. I tried to show him Bakano. He couldn't stomach it. It was too violent for him. Shoot, uncut One Piece, animated One Piece is too violent for him. But he and my mother both enjoyed live action One Piece. So that's a glowing endorsement, I think, because they're in their late 60s. So he thought he noticed that the cinematography, it seemed like they went and they did the cinematography, like they filmed, and then I saw in the credits a lot of composited credits. They composited like actual photos, I believe, and then drew those same scenery.
That makes a lot of sense.
A really cool thing.
I think they showed that.
Theory, but it's.
I think they showed that in the behind the scenes, like when Toonami posted that behind the scenes.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. So that's a really cool method. My initial impression was, like, I saw this on IMAX the first time, and like when the bird swoops in the opening, I was like, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't look like it quite meshes with the background. But it wasn't long before I was like, okay, I see how this all blends together pretty well. And I think aesthetically, I think it looks pretty nice. There are definitely moments where the animation is better or worse. I think it looks pretty good for a $30 million budget, all things considered. They do good work in Japan, and also I think a lot of work was done in China, actually, and Korea.
Yeah, cheapest place to outsource too. Yay for cutting corners.
Yeah,
I mean we're no stranger to those.
No, we're not, especially with the Sola production. Anyway, and as I was watching it, I was like, okay, I'm engaged in this. I think it's pretty good, but it's not really pulling me in, and by the end, I felt like that was okay. That was pretty good, but I wish I liked it more. I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan. I've seen the Peter Jackson trilogy. I've seen all 3 Hobbit movies, and I saw the Reckonbest Hobbit many years ago on Cartoon Network. I barely remember anything about that movie. I should actually watch it again. But I've never read the books. I'm not big into Lord of the Rings, but I like those movies. I pretty much even like the Hobbit movies, even though I thought they were long in the tooth. And I remember initial impression was like, this movie's maybe a little too long. And I thought, wait, but we're talking about a Lord of the Rings movie. Those are always long.
Mm-hmm.
those are always huge. So I know what I'm going into here, right? And even then, I feel like, you probably could trim maybe 15 minutes off of this. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I feel like it used its time pretty well. You needed some time for these things to kind of, slowly build up. It needed to be seen as a passage of time, because this even took more months, more years in the timeline than I thought it actually did. I thought it was way sooner than that.
Yeah, like when they made that announcement, I thought it was like a year or two ago, and then Sam looked it up and it was like 2021. I'm like, wait,
oh, that's not what
seriously?
I'm talking about.
Oh,
I think that's probably a pretty healthy production cycle for
for like a
length
movie that was essentially fast tracked.
Yeah.
That's their words, not mine.
Yeah. I don't know. Fast tracked
You're talking about the end movie timeline.
Yeah. No, I was talking about the in-movie timeline. They're talking about the production timeline.
Yeah, that's what I figured you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I think they probably got enough time to do this. I think they did what they wanted to do. I think the director's vision is on the screen, and I appreciate all those elements. I just kind of wish I liked it more, but
yeah.
It's a good movie. It's not a bad movie at all. I give it like a 7 out of 10. I think, yeah.
Solid.
Which is pretty in line with a lot of Jason DeMarco's co-productions.
That's a fair assessment.
He is the
7 out of 10 ain't bad. It's above average.
He's the 7 out of 10 man.
I was saying a while back that's like, no offense to Jason, but it's like when it comes to the stuff he's made, it's like at the very best they are perfectly okay, and at the very worst they're just literal garbage. I'm sorry.
Well, without knowing like
I don't think
how
any
much,
of them are garbage.
I don't actually know how much of a hand he has in every step of the way. So
I think
say
he's very hands off.
Yeah, I think he's very hands off with all his projects.
He
may go in and be like, I'll give you a couple notes, but for the most part, I trust you to do what you want.
And that's the only thing that makes sense, because if he talks about his favorite films all the time, and if you compare what those films are to the content that he produces, there's a little bit of a disconnect in quality. It's not that I enjoy the stuff that he produces fine. I like it. But I'm saying if you're going to compare what he's raving about as his favorite to what he's producing, it's like, well, where's your hand in this to make this at that level? That's all. Like, I'm not trying to be mean about it. I'm not trying to criticize him. It's just like, if it were me putting my name to something, I would really make sure that I was being hyper detailed about it. That's all.
Maybe he just doesn't have confidence that he has anything to add.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how this works. I'm no expert, so I'm not going to say more than that.
It could also just be like he lives in the United States, they're in Japan, that's another part of the world. So
yeah,
they probably just trust the production team on the other side of the world to just handle out everything.
But he did travel for this, and there was a point because he was posting about it. He traveled overseas because he was talking about missing his family.
Well, yes, but how much of that is like he's going overseas to oversee production or just going for milestones? Because he probably does have to oversee milestones for this movie. They have to make sure that this thing is going well and it's meeting its deadlines.
Yeah.
He needs to write a book. He really does.
I mean,
I'm sure he
Um,
has lots of interesting.
Sketch would read
amazing
it, and then we
stories.
could talk
Yes.
about it. Sketch
Exactly.
would read it and tell me what it said.
The DeMarco.
yeah, the Marco
But-
story.
Yeah, I think it's good. The thing that frustrates me is, even though I can see the clear passion from the people making this, the people funding it
Mm,
are just kind of doing it to kick the goalpost, and
Yeah.
that frustrates me.
Yeah, it's like,
And
you know,
good art
there-
can come
yeah.
out of those circumstances, but I just kind of feel like it didn't happen this time.
Nope.
And also, frustratingly, because this movie bombed at the box office, it's gonna set a bad precedent for 2D animated films, which were already having a hard time getting into theaters.
so
And that sucks. It sucks that Warner Brothers Discovery just let that happen.
Yeah,
Well,
but
what-
Sketch, people aren't going to the movies anymore. Since COVID,
Yeah.
they movies get put on streaming service almost immediately. The incentive to go sit in a movie theater is extremely low.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I
I'd
can
like
attest
to-
to this because I don't go to
Sonic's
movies.
already going to be in streaming, like,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
already
no, it's
available
Yeah, it's
on
already
streaming.
on
it's
streaming,
already
like, you
out?
can
Oh,
rent
shit.
it.
I thought it was just
Yeah.
coming out soon. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
don't.
can-
Go,
you
I
can
don't go to the
rent-
theater.
And that one grossed like $1 bajillion dollars.
The
I think
only reason
for-
I go to theater is for something like if I'm trying to get that experience. But normally, I don't go to the theater anymore.
I'm
Um,
with you, Carl, but I also like to push back a bit because I do think people are going to the theater to go see movies because it may not be as big as it once was, but I don't think we'll ever get back to that point because COVID really ruined everything.
Yes.
But
For movies like Sonic 3, you're doing
Yeah.
fantastic.
Well,
yeah, Sonic 3, there's also like Marvel movies. I think that Superman movie that's coming out, that's going to be a big event movie for 2025. It's big event movies and like smaller event movies or like smaller, like kind of niche type films that are getting more exposure into theaters. That's what are driving people to go into movie theaters. I can pretty much tell you, like, that Demon Slayer Mugen Train movie did not pop
Or-
off because
No.
people were like big Demon Slayer fans. Like, no, it's like people wanted to go see that because it was the only thing running in theaters at that moment in time.
Mhm.
And also, it's a really solid movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the thing was is that when I went to see it, there were actually quite a bit of people in my theater, and
Yeah,
some
me
of them
too.
were actually reacting to the stuff on screen, like when her brother got shot with the arrow. Yeah, I was like hearing, oh my god, like in the audience.
Yeah, that happened
Um,
when I saw it too. There were audience reactions, which I appreciated.
Yeah. And in the beginning, I'm like, oh, well, people are getting entertained by this. Maybe this could make a decent amount of money. But then the next week, Sonic and Mufasa came out, and I was like,
Had time to put
yeah.
out
Really?
this
Next
movie,
week
honestly.
after it
There's
came
had time.
Oh my god, I will die on this hill. They need to stop doing more with the Lion King. Just leave it alone.
Honestly.
Yep,
Just
yeah,
stop.
agreed.
My brother.
My brother!
it's
What did you
it's
say about my
funny.
brother?
It's funny. It's funny because Disney tweeted out, "Lion King is the #1 movie in the world," and
Oh,
it's 2
and they're
weeks in a
hiding
row.
stats. They're hiding
Like-
stats now. They don't
but-
want people to see how well Sonic is doing.
No, yeah, and everyone's like, Sonic has literally been the #1 movie, and they got community noted and everything, and then they're like hiding stats now. It's like, bro, are
No.
you serious?
Fuck Disney. I'm not going to see any more live action adaptations of the animated classics. That is
Same.
such a cheap. I did it, and you know what? Beauty and the Beast was okay, but I stopped after that because I'm like, no, you're not doing anything beyond what this already was. You're not
Come on,
reinventing
Disney.
the
You need
rule.
to make animated things of live action things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Or
this
just-
movie.
Or just make animated stuff that was good like it was in the 90s. Like, do
Yeah.
what you
Yeah.
did well and stop making crap that you're remaking just to make a buck. I'm done with
Oh,
Disney.
yeah.
And stop firing people after a movie comes out.
Yeah.
Well, that's not going to happen. But
And then,
Yeah.
So I was also gonna say, because like in terms of Lord of the Rings, I was like, in my opinion, like I feel like they should have pushed this to like maybe January, because January is usually like
Yeah.
a slow month for
I
movies.
kind of associate
So, like-
January with like the month that a lot of movie studios just pump out the crappy movies. That's-
the
I
reason
don't know.
also,
It's gonna
like,
come
the-
out in August.
I also
No.
kind of view this as like them trying to think, well, if it does review well, maybe we can submit it to the Oscars for like best
Oh yeah, they
animated movie.
did want it in the Oscars probably.
the tradition for the past 3 films was all 6 films was to release at Christmas. That's why they released it in December, is because all the other films were released in December. They said that. That's what they said. I'm not making this up.
The reason that they released the movie in December is that they want to potentially poise it for like Oscar. So like poise it as like an Oscar film.
I mean, but they stated that they were following in the tradition of all the other Lord, because it was ready earlier in the year, but they pushed it back because they wanted it to be in line. They wanted to associate it with the other 6 films.
I kind of feel like it probably would have performed better early in the year, just because only for the fact that like it released alongside like a bunch of other heavy.
I mean,
movies.
I could also like say
A few
like
weeks after
Into the
Moana 2
Spider-Verse.
was a bad idea.
Into the Spider-Verse released in December, and it did very well for itself.
Yeah. Well,
But that was also
what
an
was it up
amazing
against?
movie, so
What was it going up against?
I'd have to look. That was 2018. Probably a bunch of Oscar bait movies, and
Probably.
I don't think there was actually any kids movies out.
So while I do respect the decision to be traditional with the release, they really should have looked at what was coming out in December and thought maybe this is not the best time to put this movie out.
Yeah, maybe like spring. I would not put it out in the summer. Maybe spring or fall, not winter.
Because I'm sorry, but it's like I like Lord of the Rings, but I already knew in my head live and learn next week, aka Sonic 3, and I was just like, this is immediately going to shatter like everything. But yeah,
it's already a tough enough sell on its own because it's a 2D animated film, which are not expected to do well because audiences have basically abandoned that for years. Doesn't help that there's not that many that ever come out.
Yeah. I mean, the only things that get big that are hand-drawn anime movies. That's it.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball movies, Demon Slayer, when they put out a new My
Your
Hero
Name
movie.
was a big success for that type of film. Suzume was also decently popular.
Yeah.
Like these aren't like grossing billions of dollars, of course, but they have their audience and they are making a lot of money.
But yeah, I guess that I guess that really concludes everything we have to say about Lord of the Rings. I don't know if anyone else has anything to put on this.
It's pretty good. Go see it if you can.
Yeah. Go see it.
I would wait for it to go to Max or rent it on Amazon Prime. Don't
rent it on Amazon Prime. It costs more than seeing it in the theater.
I would rather pay for like the convenience at home right now. But even still, I would just say if you have a Max subscription, just wait for it to go to Max.
I
really
would say
wouldn't
do
go out of
what
my
you
way
want to do. I would say if you want to see in theater, go see in theater. If you don't. But I'm going to recommend enjoying the theater experience for the pure cinematic beauty of it.
It's worth seeing on a big screen.
Even if you see the cardboard cutouts, the rest of it's still really beautiful to see on the big screen.
It's a very beautiful movie, but you can get that same experience at home.
Depending on how big the TV is.
It's all
true.
There, I feel like
my parents got a big TV down in their basement.
Ooh.
It's already out on like iTunes and all that to like.
Yeah,
buy
it's like
and rent
$20
digitally.
to rent, which honestly, at that price, unless at least 2 people are watching, go to the theater.
Yeah, I would not have spent $20 to rent a movie.
Yeah.
To be fair, that is the price for most new.
That is. I just don't think it's a good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying it's a good price. I'm just saying
that's the norm, but it doesn't mean that it's better than just going to the dang theater.
Yeah. But of course, these are our opinions. If anyone else has their own opinions, please leave a comment. I'd love to see other people's opinions. That's. I mean, hopefully I get comments. I mean. Yeah,
I'm not gonna go see this woke garbage.
That's most likely what I'm. That's most likely what I'm gonna get.
That is like all the comments I saw whenever I saw like a post on Twitter about the movie.
Yeah, grow up. Grow up.
Grow up, you incels.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess this pretty much wraps it up. So I guess I'll just end it with I mean, you guys can already know where I'm at because I'm putting this on my own channel. But I got a Twitter, I got a Blue Sky, same handle, Sam229. Watch my tier list. I literally
Yes, what's the tier list? Those.
I spent months on that, and it's like one of those hasn't even broken like 500 views, and I'm just like, come on. But yeah, and then because I mentioned in there that I was thinking of doing more original stuff, and well, here's me doing more original stuff, like discussing Lord of the Rings. Because initially I was gonna put this on the Toonami Squad thing, but then I'm like, well, technically this isn't exactly Toonami related. This is just being made by someone who's also made Toonami. But yeah, Sai, do you have anything you want to plug, like your socials or anything?
I guess you can follow me on Twitter. I got it's at Raiden Deltarune. Or if you want to follow my YouTube Sushi Noko Familiar, you can. But otherwise, I don't really do a lot of stuff.
I will
there.
now speak about the Snoochie Noko.
Yeah, no, I make some D&D stuff on there, but I've been slacking on posting because I'm running like 2 campaigns right now, so I don't have a lot of time to make stuff. But yeah, no, I mean honestly, if you want to check out, you can, but I won't feel bad if you don't.
And Sam, where can we find you?
You can find me at scuniverse at bluesky.com and Toonami Squad. I'm still writing a Space Dandy article, and I'm still waiting for feedback.
Space Dandy.
Space
Yeah,
Dandy.
I
great
follow
show.
Sam. I follow Sam.
I follow you too, Curl.
Yes. Yes, you're fun to follow.
Thank you.
Kuro, where can we find you at?
At Happy Kuro Kitty on Twitter and search Kuro Kitty on Blue Sky, and also I am co-host of the Toonami Faithful podcast along with Sketch, and yeah, that's where you can find us.
And Sketch.
You can find me on Twitter at Sketch1984. You can look me up on Blue Sky Sketch1984, where I follow Sam because he's not on Twitter. And of course, you can listen to the Toonami Faithful podcast and all your favorite podcast apps and what have you, and also on ToonamiFaithful.com and on SoundCloud.com/Toonami Faithful podcast. Please listen to our podcast. We talk about Toonami a lot.
I just realized. I just realized technically I should plug Toonami Squad too, because it's Toonami Squad website, ToonamiSquad.com. We also have a podcast, Toonami Squad Podcast Sessions, which hopefully at the time that this goes up, our latest episode should be up, where we pretty much review Toonami in 2024, give our brief thoughts on Invincible Fight Girl, and then we complain about the schedule in January.
Oh yeah, me and Sketch, we did that.
I can relate.
What schedule in January?
Exactly.
Oh,
Yes,
we
very
did
much
a
true.
version of that as well.
But
You get nothing. Good day, sir.
But yeah, so thank
That
you
was a really
guys
good invitation. Sorry.
thank you guys so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And yeah, and just thank y'all for watching, this. But yeah, y'all take care. Y'all have a good one, and see ya. Bye-bye.
Good night. Thanks.